Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 3. Now let's start the fanfic. I do not own Naruto that belongs to Kishimoto. It's been 4 months since Naruto switched teams and he was happy. Their teamwork was so good that sometimes they didn't need to communicate to each other. Training was a bit difficult because of how strong he was. He could already go against Kurenai, but that is because she focuses too much on genjutsu and not her taijutsu or ninjutsu. Her taijutsu skills were mid-chunin and ninjutsu-wise outside of the Shunshin jutsu, the substitution, clone jutsu and henge she knew none, so in the past 4 months she trained in taijutsu and ninjutsu. All of them now wore resistance seals to help with speed. Hinata and Shino were as fast as a high chunin without the seals activated. Kurenai's speed reached Anko's level, which was low Anbu, and Naruto was low Sannin level at speed without his resistance seals activated, but with them he is as fast as Lee without his weights. Taijutsu-wise Shino was low chunin. He decided to go with Wing Chun for fast striking and heavy defense. Hinata had to fix her Jukin style. It was too stiff for her. It turns out that the style was meant for stiff movements like a boulder. Hinata, being a water user, needed something that flows smoothly so she can attack and defend at the same time. Turns out her mother had the same problem and left her taijutsu style for Hinata to learn, and she was a natural at it, but other than her teammates nobody knew that she knew it. Kurenai needed a taijutsu style built for speed and flexibility, so she combined the offensive style of the hummingbird style made famous by the Yondaime and the flexibility of the snake style Anko uses. Her taijutsu was mid-junin level. Ninjutsu Hinata learned water style, water wall, and water bullet jutsu. Shino had an earth and fire affinity, so he learned fireball jutsu, dragon flame and phoenix flower. Earth style, mud wall, earth style, binding chains and earth style headhunter jutsu. Kurenai didn't have the typical chakra nature. She had yin release, but she learned some jutsus for it. Yin style, chakra siphon, which she wanted to add into her taijutsu style. Yin style, dark binding. Yin style, dark shield. However, she did train herself in learning some lightning ninjutsu, which was difficult due to her yin affinity, but Naruto taught her the shadow clone jutsu and she was able to use it to master the lighting training she learned. Lightning clone, lightning bullet, electromagnetic murder and lightning palm. Naruto even started to teach her how to cast genjutsu with her eyes to allow her more freedom to use taijutsu and ninjutsu. She can only cast up to C-rank genjutsu with her eyes, but it's good for somebody without a Sharingan. Naruto told her at best she would only get up to high B ranking to low A ranking genjutsu with her eyes. She was okay with that. When she casts genjutsu from her eyes, her pupils constrict and sends a chakra pulse to an opponent's eyes like the Sharingan. But he told her this technique would never work on a Sharingan user. Naruto grew the most ninjutsu-wise. That's what he focused more on. He liked using his lightning and fire jutsus the most. His lighting turned red during his training, but he didn't complain about it. He learned his mother's lightning jutsu. She couldn't use lightning style. Hammer of the Thunder God. It creates a hammer, Thor's Mjolnir, made out of lighting, and the user can use it to smash his opponent or use it to control the natural lightning in the air while it's raining. Lightning Edge, another jutsu he created. It was like the Chidori but made no noise. Lightning style. Raging Dragon creates a serpent-like dragon in his hand that he controls, and it is almost impossible to dodge. Lightning Javelin, pure lightning shaping that creates a javelin that he can throw at his opponent, piercing them and electrocuting them. He also learned Twin Lightning Dragon Jutsu. For fire, he had his Gigi lend him some scrolls in secret. Great Dragon Fire Jutsu, Fire Breath Jutsu and Misty Flames Dance Jutsu. He learned some Wind Ninjutsu as well. Wind style. Air blades he uses through the Kubikiribocho, creating wind blades that can destroy the landscape and cut up an enemy from a distance. Also, if he channels enough chakra, he could kill a giant summoned creature. Air slash that he uses with or without the Kubikiribocho, although it is stronger when using the sword. Wind Dragon Jutsu and Wind Drill Jutsu. He throws 3 kunai blades infused with wind chakra, throws them in the air and controls them to create a large drill that destroys everything in its path. He learned 2 more water jutsus as well. Super exploding water shockwave and ripping torrent. He only learned 2 because he rarely uses water but has them just in case. His taijutsu was Haijonin, now on par with Rock Lee even though he doesn't know him yet. His genjutsu with his Sharingan was almost as good as Itachi. Overall he was mid-Junin due to his lack of experience. However, if his Sharingan is active he can take on a mid-Anbu, and his Mangekyo he would be able to take on a low Sannin level ninja. Shino and Hinata were both mid-level overall and they were happy with the progress. Kurenai was a Jonin already and her overall skill put her at high Chunin low Jonin. However, due to her recent training she is as strong as Anko, who is mid-high Jonin. Naruto finally unlocked the Susanoo. He was surrounded by a black rib cage and an arm. That's as far as he can go right now. Also, they have completed 7 more C-rank missions and it would have been 9, but 2 of them upgraded to AB tank due to having to fight a missing ninja. Naruto also completed an S-rank mission on accident where he found one of Orochimaru's old labs that had a lot of dead bodies tied to experimenting tables. They didn't find much so they burned it. Now him and his team are waiting for Kurenai to show up at the training ground. Shino and Hinata are sitting together with her on his lap. They started dating 2 weeks after the wave mission and Naruto was happy for them. He was snapped out of his thoughts when Kurenai arrived. Okay guys, I've decided to request you for the Chunin exams next week. As you may have noticed we have some team from different villages already here. So fill out these forms and head to the academy next week with these forms and head to room 303 for the first part of the exam. Good luck, and if you need anything just come find me. She said and vanished. So I'm pretty sure these require all 3 members to participate in the first 2 parts since it's 3 parts altogether. Do you guys want to join or wait it out? Naruto asked after reading the form. I will take it but only for the experience. However, if I am recommended for a promotion then I will take it. Shino said, and they both looked at Hinata, who was thinking about this hard. I think I'll join too. Like Shino said, it's for the experience for me as well. But I'll also take the promotion if it is offered. She said. Great, so see you guys in a week then. They both nodded, but before he left he couldn't help but mess with them. Oh, and make sure you use protection, okay? He vanishes as a kunai from the blushing Hinata flies at his head. Naruto returned to the training field because he wanted to work on cutting down the hand seals for his lightning and fire jutsu. His wind and water already require 1 or no hand signs. He was about to begin when he sensed something in the tree that's been following him for years. He activated Shisui's technique dance of the teleporter, creating solid afterimages, and snuck up and grabbed whatever was following him. What the hell are you supposed to be? He asked as he looked at the creature with wings but had the body of a lizard. I'm a dragon, young Naruto. And I have been watching you for about 5 to 6 years. The dragon said. Yeah, I know, I just never bothered to do anything about it until now. So how did you get in the barrier? It should have set off an alarm. Oh, the barrier doesn't work on summons. I thought that old monkey would have told you. Anyway, I am here to offer you the Dragon Clan contract. We would like you to become our summoner. The dragon said. Oh, I would like to, but I already signed the fox contract. He said. Yes, I am aware of that. However, Kurama has given you the blessing of signing another contract and has given us permission to offer it to you. Can summon him and ask him to be sure I'm not lying. Naruto bites his thumb, goes through hand signs. Summoning jutsu. What the? Kit, this better be important. I was about to have my way with my mate. By the way, she wants to meet you, but wait a month before summoning her. She's in heat. Kurama said. Oh, Kurama, that would be my fault. I told him to summon you if he didn't believe you would let him sign the dragon contract. The dragon told him. Oh yes, the dragon summoning contract is fine, just no toad or snakes. I hate them. Well, I better get going. I have a mate waiting for me to ravish her. Oh, and Kit summoned Scarlet. She actually grew the last 6 months. He said. With that he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Okay, where is this contract for me to sign? As he says that, a scroll appears in front of him and he signs it. Good, now the hand signs for summoning us are a bit different. Instead of you starting with the boar hand sign like usual, you start with bird, switching the places of the two. Now go through the hand seals and summon your familiar. Your familiar requires very little chakra, maybe as much as a genin as you guys call it. Naruto goes through the hand signs. Summoning jutsu. A small baby dragon appears with pitch black skin and its eyes have the iris and emerald green color, but the pupils are black and are shaped like an oval. The dragon opens his mouth to yawn and it shows a row of small but sharp teeth. This is interesting. A baby dragon has never been chosen as familiar. Usually familiars are small dragons the size of a small house. Anyway, this shadow your familiar. He can't do much right now, so summon him again in about 6 months, then he can start training with you. Cool, thanks, but are you always this small? He asks. Oh no, I'm way bigger. It was just easier for me to watch you this way. This is a henge as you would call it. The dragon grows to be about 500 feet tall. This is how tall I really am. Okay, what's your name? You haven't told me yet. He asked. Ah, my mistake, the name is Bob. Bob said, proudly puffing out his chest. Naruto had to bite his lip in order not to laugh at this 500-foot tall dragon, and his name is Bob. Well, it's nice to meet you, Bob. Thanks, Naruto. Same here, and before I leave, you can't summon Boss Dragon or Elder yet, they will decide when to meet you. With that, Bob returned home. Naruto goes through some hand signs. Summoning jutsu. Before he can stand up, he is knocked over by a red blur. Naruto. I'm so happy to see you again. You never me summoned before. I know I can't train yet, but you could have at least played with me, Scarlet said, going to a sad time at the end. I'm sorry, Scarlet, I was busy, but I'm about to train. You can watch if you want. He said. Okay, but do you have any food? I'm hungry. He unseals 4 bentos and opens them for her. One has steaks in them, the other has fruits and nuts, while the other 2 have fish in them. He doesn't unseal any water because they have a stream like 20 feet away and he can just pull water out of the air for her. She starts eating and begins to train, cutting down his hand signs for lightning and fire jutsus. After 5 hours of training, his lightning edge needed no hand signs and his twin lightning dragon only needed 5 hand seals. For fire, great dragon fire was down to 3 hand signs, and fire breath he needed no hand signs, for those were the only 4 jutsus he worked on. Well, him and about 600 clones. He notices Scarlet sleeping and sends her back home. He heads home for the night and sleeps. Day before the exams, Naruto is walking around the village when he feels 4 chakra signatures following him. He sees a square rock following him and taps it once, making it explode in smoke. Little Monkey, Konohamaru, Snot Nose, Udon, Red Spots, Moegi, Firecracker, Hanabi, what can I do for you today? You promised to play ninja with us, remember? Konohamaru stated, getting 3 other nods of agreement. Now, in the last 4 months since joining Team 8, Naruto, Shino and Hinata hung out quite often, and he started to be around Hanabi more often and got her to break out of that stick up the Hyuga way and be more like a kid her age. Somehow, she even got her father to take in a small white kitten Naruto found one day in his little animal hospital that he built. How she did it, nobody knows, but yeah, she has a cat now. Due to her becoming less stuck up, she quickly made friends with Konohamaru, Udon and Moegi. He was about to speak up until a voice beat him to it. What kind of ninja plays ninja? Sakura said, walking up to them. It teaches the stealth and trap making spitter, you should try it, Naruto says. Hey boss, is she your? Konohamaru holds up his pinky finger. Of course not. Ni-san would never date somebody like her. I mean, look at her, they're as big as mine and I don't have any, but I'm 10 inches, Hanabi said. Yeah, you're right, plus look at her forehead, it's so huge. Konohamaru said. You might want to run now, Konohamaru. Said boy looks at Sakura, who has a evil aura around her, and takes off with Sakura right on his heels. Ouch. Konohamaru said. Hey, watch where you're going, you little shit, a black car suit wearing boy says, and picks Konohamaru up by his collar. Kankuro put him down before, we're not supposed to cause any trouble, besides what if he sees you? A girl with blonde hair in 4 pigtails and a giant fan on her back says. Relax, Tamari, I was just gonna have some fun with him, Kankuro said. Fine, but leave me out of it. Temari said. Kankuro pulled his fist back to punch Konohamaru, but a voice stopped him. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Naruto said, coming out of nowhere. Oh, and why not? Kankuro said while Temari has other thoughts. Well, a local hottie. I wonder if he's single, she thought. Because the Anbu watching him will surely kill you for harming the Hokage's grandson. As he says that two Anbu appear and protect Konohamaru. It's alright, Cat and Lion, I can handle this. They nod and escort the four kids away from the scene. The second reason is because your other teammate in the tree doesn't seem happy. So Sasuke, can you and your friend come down here? He said, confusing Sasuke until a swirl of sand is seen rising before them, showing a red head with teal eyes with the kanji for love on his forehead. I didn't even notice him, Sasuke thought. Kankuro, you're a disgrace to the village. The red head said. But Gaara, I was just. Shut up or I'll kill you. He says, scaring Kankuro. What's your name? Sasuke Uchiha, Sasuke said smugly. Not you. I don't care. I mean him. He pointed at Naruto. Naruto. Is all he said. Mother says she wants your blood. Naruto, already having guessed he was the one-tailed Jinchuriki, was not scared one bit. Tell your mother mine has 8 more tails and should watch out and not cause problems. He said calmly, confusing Sasuke and Sakura but getting scared looks from Temari and Kankuro. Gaara grabs his head in pain. Temari, Kankuro, we're leaving, we have to meet Baki-sensei. They turned to leave before Sakura spoke up. It's illegal for a foreign ninja to be in the village unless they have a reason, so why are you here? She asks. We're here for the Chunin exams, don't you know they're being held here? Temari stated as if it was obvious. Yeah, Spitter, didn't your excuse of a sensei tell you about them? Sakura doesn't reply, only looks down while Temari blushes at the nickname, understanding what he meant by it. The Sand Genin left and so did Naruto, leaving Sasuke alone with Sakura. Sakura, you should train more before the Chunin exams. We might not have much time before they start. Oh, if only he knew. Oh, and why does Naruto call you Spitter? She blushes at this but sees this as an opportunity. I can show you, but I'll have to go to your house. It's kind of private. She said. He shrugs and leads her to his house, not noticing the 3 figures in the tree who didn't notice Naruto standing right behind them. So that's the Uchiha, a girl with a Sound Village headband said. Yeah, he doesn't look like much. I wonder what master sees in him, said a boy with black gravity-defying hair. It doesn't matter. We have our orders, we are to test the Uchiha. Let's just hope Kabuto can do his part and not blow his cover. We need him to get the Uchiha to trust him in the forest. The other one said, who looked like a mummy. They all vanished, never sensing Naruto. So we have a spy in our ranks, huh? Kabuto, I've never heard or seen one around the village and I basically know everybody even if they hate me, Naruto said. He has to see the Hokage about this. Day of Chunin exams. Naruto woke up and began getting ready. He had 2 hours to get ready, so he put on his usual clothes, ate a big breakfast and left. Everything was the same about him except he had the Kubikiribokun his back. As he was leaving, you could see an image of Shisui with a proud smile on his face. As Naruto was walking to the academy, people had to do a double take on him. The serious look on his face reminded him of the Yondaime, and if he had blonde hair he could pass as his son. Oh, if only they knew. They banished those thoughts and began to glare at him like they usually did. He reached the academy and saw Shino and Hinata waiting for him. They waved him over and he walked up to them. Are you both ready for this? After today our lives will change, but remember to have each other's back and trust your abilities. He said that last part mainly to Hinata, who still had times where she was unsure of her abilities, but they were still working on it. We can do this. We will follow your lead, Naruto, as you are team captain. Logically we should follow your orders. Shino said. No, Shino, if you or Hinata have any suggestions or ideas we can use them. Despite me being the leader, I will also listen to what you have to say. Naruto said. They both nodded and handed in their registration forms and walked into the academy. As they walked in, Naruto noticed a group of Konoha genin that looked to be a year older than them. It was the same Hyuga boy he saw at the Hyuga compound after his meeting and tickle fight with Hanabi. It was also a boy with a green spandex jumpsuit with leg warmers, but what caught Naruto was he had the exact bowl-cut hairstyle and bushy eyebrows as that weird jonin that screams about the flames of youth all day. However, it was the girl that caught his attention. She wore a pink sleeveless kipao-style Chinese blouse and dark green pants, but it was the hair that made him remember who she was. Her hair was in two buns on her head that reminded him of a panda bear. He walks up to them ignoring the Hyuga who was glaring at him with his Byakugan active. He remembered what Naruto did to him and deactivated his Byakugan but still flared at him. Panda-chan, Naruto asked, and the girl got mad and glared at him. I don't know who you think you are, but only one person has the right to call me that and he isn't around anymore, so watch your mouth. Alright, the bun-haired girl said. You don't remember me. I'm heard we were always together in the orphanage before you got adopted. He replies with a smirk, seeing her eyes go wide. Fish cake. His eye twitched at the name, but nonetheless he nodded and was immediately wrapped up in a bone-crushing hug which he returned. I haven't seen you in years since I was adopted. You're not a little shrimp anymore. How've you been? She said. He twitched being called a shrimp. He did grow. He stood at 5 feet 4, the tallest out of all the current genin. I'm actually doing good, despite everything that's happened to me. But it looks like you're the shrimp now. So who are your teammates? He asked. She pouted at being called a midget but introduced her team. Well, the one with the serious face and long hair is Neji Hyuga. Said boy was glaring at Hinata, having spotted her walking up to Naruto. The other energetic one who looks like he is about to explode if I don't introduce him as Rock Lee. Said boy rushed and shook Naruto's hand excitedly. I am Konoha's most handsome blue beast. It is nice to meet you, my youthful friend. I can tell your flames burn bright. As this was going on, Naruto was not paying attention to him. Seriously, what is wrong with this guy? Who would wear this in public? It's horrifying. Makes me want to throw up. I can only imagine what I would wear if I hadn't met Shisui. He shuddered at the thought but saw everybody was waiting for his answer. He responded. Did you say something? Lee had a shocked look on his face. Curse you and your hip attitude, Naruto. He said, crying anime tears. Anyway, these are my teammates Shino Aburame and Hinata Hyuga. Guys, this is Panda-chan, also known as Tenten. He introduces them and they greet them. However, Naruto notices Neji glaring at Hinata. Dude, if you're glaring at her because you like her, it won't help you get into her pants, besides she is already taken. Now if you have a problem with her being from the main house, then sucks to be you. If you try anything, I will kill you. He said, his voice going from happy to cold and serious. Neji just walks away with Rock Lee following him. I guess that's our K to leave. It was good seeing you again, Fishcake. Tenten said, giving him a hug and rushing off. Let's get up to the exam room, guys. I want to fight that Lee guy. I can tell he is the strongest genin after me, but his team thinks Neji is the strongest. I can tell Lee is hiding something. He says and walks off with Shino and Hinata following him. They reached the 3rd floor, and on the way they passed a room on the 2nd floor with a genjutsu on it with a lot of genin trying to get in, being blocked by Chunin in a henge that Naruto immediately recognized as the Eternal Gate guards Azumo and Katetsu. Kurenai appears in front of them. I'm glad you all made it. If one of you were to opt out of the exams, then the other two would not have been allowed to enter. Now I'm here to wish you luck and do your best. She gives them all a hug and vanishes. They look at each other and walk in and were glared at by everybody in there. Hinata started shaking and Shino had a barely noticeable drop of sweat on his head. Naruto, on the other hand, well, he sat down by the wall and went to sleep, not even bothered by the glares. He was rudely awakened by Kiba's voice. Yahoo! It looks like all the rookies are here. Way to go, Kiba, you just attracted unwanted attention to us. Shikamaru said. He gave a nod to Naruto, who nodded back. Choji greeted him as well. He noticed Sasuke was being pestered by Sakura and Ino arguing over him about dates. He decided to mess with them. Hey Ino, you better hurry up, can give yourself to Sasuke like you want, that is of course if you haven't given yourself to Choji. But Sakura is already a proven spitter, as I like to call her. I'm sure Sasuke finally found out why I call her that yesterday. He said with a smirk. Ino was red in anger at Naruto basically calling her again. She hadn't had yet. Choji whispered something in Naruto's ear and his jaw dropped. He leans and whispers in her ear. I think you should stop gushing over Sasuke despite you and Choji wanting to keep it a secret. You're hurting him by doing that. He said. She nods, but he talks once more in her ear. Turns out you're not a spitter like Sakura. Good for you, he says and walks back to his team. That's when he senses somebody over near them and his danger senses went off. This was a silver-haired boy with spectacles on. He looked to be about 6 to 7 years older than them. His chakra was as high as a Junin. I seriously need to keep my sensory abilities active. I have the same version Mito Uzumaki had. He thought as he activated his sensing abilities he sensed 2 more high chakra signatures, however one was not in the building but was close by. One was Gaara, the other had reserves at cage level and the chakra was dark and evil. The person also smelled like snakes just like Kabuto did. His eyes widened as he realized something. Orochimaru was in the exams in a disguise. But why was he here? You guys should quiet down, you're drawing attention to yourselves. The boy said. Oh yeah, who are you? Kiba asked. My name is Kabuto Yakushi and I can assure you these exams are no joke. This is my 7th time taking them. Kabuto said. This was the boy Naruto heard the sound Nin talking about. He had told the Hokage who gave him an S-rank mission to spy on him. Kabuto was pulling out cards when he was finished with his thoughts. These are ninfo cards. I can tell you about any genin you wish to know about. Kabuto said. Rock Lee, Gaara and Naruto Uchiha. Sasuke said. You already know their names, that's no fun. He pulls out 3 cards. First up is Rock Lee. He's a year older than you. Has completed 11 C-rank missions and 20 D-tank missions. His team joining is Guy and in the last 12 months his taijutsu has grown exponentially. His other skills are shaky. Last year he chose to not take the Chunin exams. His teammates are Neji Hyuga and Tenten. He said. Now for Gaara, he has completed 8 C ranks and get this AB rank mission while not even being touched on a single mission. He said, shocking all the genin except Naruto, who was busy setting up an idea to capture Kabuto. Now Naruto Uchiha has completed 20 D rank missions, 8 C rank missions, 2 B rank missions, 2 A rank missions and has 3 S rank missions, however one of them is ongoing. His skills are questionable but he is said to be good at taijutsu and ninjutsu but not telling how good. His teammates are Shino Aburame and Hinata Hyuga and his Junin sensei is Kurenai Yuhi. It is also said that he wields the Kubikiribocho, the sword made famous by Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the mist. All the current genin in the room look at him in shock while also figuring out how they didn't notice the giant sword on his back before. Tenten wanted to touch the sword but Naruto stopped her and told her what would happen if the sword didn't deem her worthy, making her back off. Kiba spoke up. Loser, when did you get another A rank mission and 3 S ranks? He asked angrily. Don't worry about it, he said. Kabuto just unintentionally solidified himself as a spy. He shouldn't have mission records or skills for that matter, those we all confidential to the Hokage and Junin sensei. Especially his 3 S rank missions. One was for teaching the Hokage how to defeat paperwork. The other was finding one of Orochimaru's labs. The ongoing one was capturing Kabuto, who was a spy. He used his wind manipulation to discreetly cut off a piece of Kabuto's clothes. He would send a spy fox to spy on him later. He saw Kabuto get attacked by the same sound ninja that he saw the other day. Must be to keep any suspicions off of them. He thought. Alright, that's enough, no fighting, or I will kick you out. My name is Ibiki and I am the proctor for this stage. Now grab a number, sit down. Ibiki yelled and everybody ran to their seats after getting a number. Now the first part of the Chunin exams is a written test. Naruto slams his head on the desk. He hates written tests. You have 45 minutes to answer 9 questions. The final 10th question will be asked after time is up. If you're caught cheating 5 times, your team is eliminated and will be sent out. Now begin. After 45 minutes and about 10 teams were eliminated, Ibiki spoke up. Alright, pencils down, it's time for the 10th question. Are you done playing with your puppet? He asked Kankuro, who looked scared at having been caught. Now you have the option to take the 10th question, however if one person from a team refuses you all fail. It doesn't matter if you get all 9 questions correct. If you choose to not take the 10th question you will get a 0. But if you choose to take the question and get it wrong, you will never be able to take the Chunin exams ever again. Ibiki said, what kind of rule is that? There are plenty of people here who have taken the exams before. Kiba yelled and Ibiki gave a hollowed laugh before answering. Well, you must be unlucky because I wasn't making the rules before, but I am now. Of course, if you don't want to take it, you don't have to. There's always the Chunin exams next year. Those who don't wish to take it, raise your hand. Your number will be recorded and you may leave. He says after everybody leaves that didn't want to take the 10th question left. He counted the people left. 78 people left. That's more than I expected, however none of them show signs of giving up. I guess this is it, Ibiki thought. Now for all of you remaining, you pass. He said. Hold on, what just happened? What kind of rules are those? What do you mean we passed? Where's the 10th question? Sakura asked. There never was a 10th question, well, not a written one. Your decision to stay was the answer to the 10th question. Ibiki said. Huh, hold on, so the other 9 questions were just a waste of time? Tamari asked. However, Naruto grew tired of this and answered the question. He wanted to leave the classroom. You blonde bimbo. He was gonna continue until a wave of sand flew at him. Watch how you talk or I'll kill you, Gaara said as his sand went towards Naruto. Naruto dodged and appeared in front of Gaara and punched him in the face. He broke through a layer of hard sand on Gaara's face, leaving a bruise that was slowly healing. The sand genin were shocked because nobody has ever gotten past Gaara's sand defense, let alone his sand armor. That's enough, I said, no fighting. You do it again and you're disqualified. Ibiki yelled. Gaara didn't listen and stood to attack Naruto again, but he couldn't move. Shikamaru has Gaara trapped in his shadow possession jutsu. After a few seconds, Gaara calms down and walks out of the jutsu like it was nothing. Now, as I was saying, the 9 questions served a purpose, most likely how to gather information without getting caught. Why do you think he put so much emphasis on getting caught? If you're going to be a ninja, you need stealth and to know how to gather information quickly while in a hostile area. Now I think I covered it, so who's the second proctor? Ibiki just smirked and Naruto paled. Oh no. Ibiki can only nod. Naruto feels a certain chakra signature speeding towards the window and a black blur breaks through the glass, revealing a cloth pin to the ceiling with the words, "The Y and happily taken Anko Mitarashi," on it. Naruto can only shake his head at his sister's antics, but he wouldn't want her to change. He notices her new outfit also. She kept her word that if she ever got a boyfriend and it was steady, she would change. She kept the colors and trench coat. Now she still kept the mesh that covered her from the neck to her mid-thigh area. Now on top she wore tan shorts that went to her mid-thigh area like her mesh covering did, and a black t-shirt covering her upper body. Alright boys and girls, no time for celebrating. My name is Anko Mitarashi and I am the proctor of the second part of the Chunin exams. She exclaims proudly. Anko, you're actually on time, what gives? Ibiki asked. I was cuddling up with my boyfriend. I thought I was going to be late, she said and looked over at the teams remaining. She noticed Naruto and gave him a quick smile that nobody caught. 78 people. Ibiki, you let 26 teams pass, you must be getting soft, she said. No, we have an interesting bunch this year, he said while staring at Naruto. Something Sasuke took offense to and let it be known. Why are you staring at that branch family loser? I'm stronger than him and every genin in here. He doesn't even have the Sharingan like I do. He is nothing. Put your eyes on me, he said. However, Ibiki ignored him. Alright, if Mr. Temper Tantrum is done, we can move along now. Everybody head to training ground 44. The Chunin in the hallway will give you directions on how to get there. Nobody moved. Now, everybody except Naruto rushed out of the room. Anko rushes him and gives him a hug that Naruto returns. How've you been, Naru-chan? I haven't seen you around lately. She asked. I've been on missions and training these past 4 months. But I need to talk to you both about something. He said seriously. They also got serious. We have a spy named Kabuto Yakushi in the exams and he works for Orochimaru, who is also here. I felt his chakra here. It was dark and evil and reeks of snakes. I just don't know where he is now. He may be in the Chunin exams, but I can't be sure. I've talked to the old man and he checked Kabuto's file. He was the adopted son of a former head medic, but every time during the Chunin exams he always backed out at the last part. But I'm going to antagonize him into staying. I'll beat him up and Gigi will have an Anbu disguised as nurse come and grab him. I'm going to send a spy fox to track him down and gather any information it can. This is an S-rank mission that will go on all of our files that we are getting a 10% pay boost on. Kabuto has information that is only confidential to the Hokage and the Junin sensei. Now we need to draw Orochimaru out in his disguise. He says and tells them the plan to lure him out. After that, don't fight him, let him go. I'm sure Kabuto will seek him out. We need to know what his plan is, so don't fight him if you see him, Anko. He says. No promises, but I'll try. She says. Okay now, Anko, after this I need to talk to you about something, but it can wait till after the third part. He says. Anko hugs him and kisses his cheek before disappearing. Naruto does as well. Training Ground 44. Anko and Naruto arrive at the training ground and Naruto immediately senses Orochimaru and does Anbu hand signals to Anko. He's here. She nods and begins her part of the exams. Alright kiddies, welcome to Training Ground 44. Anko says. This place looks kinda creepy. Sakura said, shaking. It should be. This place is called the Forest of Death, you'll find out why soon. Anko replied. As they were talking, Naruto wasn't paying attention. Now was Anko's turn to act. She noticed Naruto not paying attention with a he isn't scared look on his face. Looks like we have a tough guy in the exams. I guess the forest isn't scary enough for you. She said. After a while Naruto didn't respond like he was supposed to and a tick mark grew on her head. She took out a kunai and threw it at him, cutting his cheek. She vanished and appeared behind him and licked his blood. Guys like you are the first to die in this forest. She said out loud but whispered. Why didn't you respond? She asked. I needed to make it look more believable. He whispers back. Just then Naruto and Anko feels somebody appear behind them. She pulls out another kunai and holds it up, but a long tongue appears over her shoulder. I was just returning your kunai, said a creepy Kusa nin. After a brief stare off, Anko replies. Thanks Kusa nin, but don't stand behind me so close unless you want to die quickly. I'm sorry, but with the sight of blood and your kunai cutting my hair you couldn't help but get excited. My apologies. The ninja walks away. Anko returns to her spot in front of the forest. Naruto signs to her. That was him. She nodded slightly so nobody noticed. Excitement must be in the air today for a lot of you, but do not let it get you killed. Or let it. I don't really care. Now these are waivers you must sign that say we are not responsible for your death if you die in the forest. She said. You tough guy, pass these out. She said, handing Naruto the waiver forms. This part of the exam will test your survival skills. This forest has 44 entrance gates and inside there are rivers, and in the middle of a forest is a tower 10 kilometers from each gate. This part will test your survival skills in an all-out battle for these scrolls. She said and pulled out a heaven and earth scroll. You'll be fighting to get a heaven and earth scroll. Each team will start with either or, and your objective is to collect both scrolls and head to the tower in the middle of the forest. You have 5 days to gather the scrolls. If you do not gather the scrolls in 5 days, you fail and have to find your own way out of the forest. She said. 5 days. Ino exclaimed. What are we supposed to do about food? Choji asked. Find something in the forest. There's plenty of things to eat in there. Anko said. That's not all in there. There's also some man-eating animals and poisonous plants in there. Kabuto said. Aw man. Choji said. Well, you're a smart one. How did you know that those were in there? Anko asked, even though she already knew. Well, this is my 7th time taking it. He said. Wow, you must suck. Are you sure you're fit to be a ninja? Perhaps you should go work at a library or a nursing home as a helper. She asked, purposely pissing him off. No, I'm quite content to be a ninja. I'm feeling lucky this time around, so I'll be fine. Kabuto said, gritting his teeth at her insult. Oh well, if you say so. Now I need one person from each team to come and grab a scroll for your team and head to your designated gates and wait for the signal to go in. You can also be disqualified if you lose a team member or if you open the scrolls before entering the tower. She said. After every team had their scroll and were at their gates, a timer went off and Anko spoke. Alright, the second part of the exams begins now. She exclaims. The gates open and all the teams rush into the forest. Hang on guys, we need to stop. Naruto said to his team. Why do we need to stop, Naruto? Hinata asked. Because I need to do something. He replies. He bites his thumb and goes through hand signs. Summoning jutsu. A pitch-black fox appears with 4 tails and comes up to Naruto's thigh while standing on all 4s. You must be Naruto, our new summoner. I am called Midnight, a spy fox. What can I help you with? Midnight said. Nice to meet you, Midnight. I need you to spy on the scent of the person this belongs to. Naruto said as he unsealed the piece of fabric he cut off from Kabuto's shirt. Midnight sniffs it and is about to take off when he stops and looks at Shino. Get your bugs off of me before I eat them and hunt you down next. Midnight said, and 3 bugs fly off of him back to Shino. Thank you. I shall track this person for a couple days before returning to you, Naruto. With that said, Midnight vanishes into the shadows of the forest. Shino, what you did could have gotten you killed, if not by Midnight then by the Hokage himself. You were about to impede in an S-rank mission I've been assigned. I know you didn't know, but don't do that again. Shino only nods at this, understanding the situation better. Now we have a mist team heading straight towards us, most likely because I have the Kubikiribocho. So do you guys want to take them on and head to the tower, or move to take on another team? He asked. I think we should wait for the mist team and beat them, then see what scroll they have before deciding. Hinata said it was a good plan, so they kept high in the trees to ambush them. They wanted to conserve strength just in case. 10 minutes later, this mist team jumped into the clearing. 2 boys and 1 girl who looked like the leader. I thought you said they would be here, said the shorter boy of the mist team. Yeah, I want that sword, but I wouldn't mind having a go at that Hyuga chick. The other said with a perverted grin. Shut up, I know they're here, but where? The female leader said. Behind you. A voice said. Next thing they knew, all of them were knocked out. Good plan, Shino, they were pretty easy to knock out. Naruto said as they began to search them, and luck was on their side. Hinata found a heaven scroll on the female ninja and also took the medical supplies they had. Okay, now that we have the scrolls, do we head straight for the tower or go halfway and camp out for the night and head to the tower the next day? Hinata asked. Naruto said it was up to them, he would follow their lead. So they both agreed to make it halfway and camp before in the afternoon. They begin to travel when Anko's chakra appears and starts to drop. Damn it, Anko. Here, take this seal and make camp somewhere. I need to go and do something. It's about that S-rank mission, so don't even think about it, Shino. Naruto said he gave them the privacy seal and vanished towards Anko's chakra when he got there. She was panting heavily while Orochimaru had some difficulty breathing, but not as bad as Anko. Well, Anko, it appears you still can't match me, although you've greatly improved. I've already marked the Uchiha with my curse seal. So don't cancel the exams. If you do, I will destroy the Leaf Village. Now to finish you off. He pulled out a kunai and charged at Anko, preparing to kill her, but was kicked back and hit a tree, coughing up some blood from the impact. He looked up to see Naruto staring him down with a blank face. Ah, Naruto-kun, I was wondering when I would meet you. It turns out today is my lucky day. I get to give my curse mark to more than one Uchiha. Orochimaru said while licking his lips. Yeah, about your curse mark, you can try to put it on me if you want. Here, I'll even give you a free shot. He said and tilted his head to the right. Orochimaru, believing Naruto was bluffing, rushed Naruto and bit into his neck. Well, he tried to, but something kept him about 2 inches from Naruto's neck, shocking him that this was happening. Naruto, taking his moment of shock, knees him in the gut and gave him a drop kick, knocking back into the tree. Something cracked and Orochimaru fell to the ground, but his mouth opened and another Orochimaru came out. Kuku, I'm impressed, Naruto-kun. A mere genin forced me to age my skin. I wonder who is stronger, you or Sasuke-kun. Although he has the Sharingan, I will say he is stronger than you. I fought him at low Chunin speed, so I'll try that much against you. Orochimaru took off at low Chunin speed, however before he could get halfway he felt a fist in his stomach and looked down to see Naruto with a smirk. Don't underestimate me just because I'm not using the Sharingan. I can still keep up. With that, they both blurred away at mid-Chunin level, and Orochimaru was shocked that Naruto was still keeping up with him. Every punch that connected against Naruto he got hit as well, and it was vice versa, so he kicked it up to low Jonin and Naruto was still keeping up with him, but his dodging was becoming easier and striking precision was becoming sharper. He knew he couldn't increase his chakra levels no further than what they were at unless the envy would be on him, and he didn't want to deal with them, so he used his true speed, which was cage level, and hit Naruto with a straight jab, stunning him and grabbing him by the neck, and noticed his seal on the stomach. He smirked before channeling chakra to his hand and saying, 5-pronged seal. He slaps his hand on Naruto's seal and Naruto lets out a silent scream, and Orochimaru kicks him away before turning his attention to Anko. I can tell the Anbu are on the way, however I shall leave you with my parting gift. He lifted his hand and channeled chakra, trying to activate Anko's cursed seal, but to his shock nothing happened. What's going on? Why isn't her mark activating? He thought. You lose, Orochimaru, the seal is gone and the Anbu are on the way. She said, getting into her fighting stance. Now how about round 2? He gritted his teeth and spoke. I will be back. Don't forget what I said about canceling the Chunin exams. He vanished after that, and 5 seconds later a boar-masked Anbu and cat arrived. He's long gone already and attacked one of our genin, Naruto. She said, it's not our problem that some stupid kid decided to challenge Orochimaru. Hell, I wouldn't feel bad if the kid was dead, we would be better off with him around. Boar said, is that a fact, Boar? Perhaps you would like to fight me next. You've been in the Anbu since I was 4, yet you haven't even made Anbu captain or second in command. It makes me wonder how strong you really are. Naruto said from behind Boar, since Cat was busy checking Anko for wounds. Hearing this going on, Anko chimed in as well. I would like to see that, Boar. You talk a big game yet you never really back it up when challenged, so what's it gonna be? Are you going to fight or not? She said, standing. Boar said nothing and left. Cat shook her head and sighed. I seriously don't understand how he is in the Anbu still, nobody in the division likes him. She said. Anyway, are you alright, Naruto? You look a mess. Yeah, I'm fine. I had a clone remove the 5-pronged seal he put on me already. My control may take a hit for a few hours. I need to go meet up with my team. I'll see you guys later. He vanished. So how good was he fighting against Orochimaru? Cat asked. I don't know, all they used was taijutsu, however Orochimaru said he went as Sasuke at low Chunin level and even bragged about him having his Sharingan and Naruto didn't, but me and you know he already has it matured. Which is true. Anko, Yugao, Kurenai, Hinata, Shino and the Hokage are the only people that know about his matured Sharingan, however only Anko knew about his Mangekyo and the ending result of it. However, when he tried to rush him at low Chunin, he already had Naruto's fist in his stomach. Naruto said not to underestimate him just because he isn't using his Sharingan. Orochimaru didn't pick up on this, so they took of at mid Chunin and he was still keeping up. Eventually they reached low Junin speed and Naruto still kept up with him. Mind you, all this is without his Sharingan active, but as the fight went on, I don't know what it was, but this pressure started to come off of Naruto. It was like ki, but it was calm and relaxed, but Orochimaru blurred away at his full speed to end it since he felt U2 coming and slapped the 5-pronged seal on Naruto and left. He also tried to mark Naruto after he taunted him and gave him a free shot, but it didn't work for some reason. He did mark Sasuke though and threatened to not cancel the exams. Kat nodded, taking all of this in. We need to go see the Hokage about this. Anko nodded and they left in a swirl of leaves. Naruto reaches his team's campground and let out a pulse of chakra in code, letting them know it was him. The barrier opens and he enters but sees Hinata's clothes wrinkled and Shino had his glasses crooked on his face. Naruto gave them a knowing smile, making them both blush. No kind of was involved, was it? He asked as they both shook their heads. We're too young. I'm not ready for that. We were only kissing. Hinata said, blushing. That's right, besides in my clan is not allowed until you are 15 as well as your partner. I'm 14, so I have another year as well as Hinata since she will be 14 in 6 months. Shino says. Naruto nods at that. His birthday was also in about 4 months, turning 14. He almost forgot. Naruto unseals some bento boxes with fish, rice and mixed vegetables and some bottles of water. They eat and talk for another hour before falling asleep. Next morning they woke up and Hinata asked Naruto a question that's been bugging her. Naruto, she said. Yeah, Hinata, what's up? He asked. Why don't you use your Sharingan? It's like you're ashamed of your heritage. That's almost like me never using the Byakugan. She said. Honestly, I never use it because of the way the Uchiha clan was. I don't want to be lumped up with them, I guess. Why? Do you think I should start using it? He asked. I think you should. You were never raised by the Uchiha clan or grew up in the Uchiha way. Your mother is the only Uchiha you should be worried about. Despite her being gone, she is still watching you, and I would like to think she would want you to be afraid of using your heritage. Hinata said. She's right, Naruto, I wouldn't, said a voice neither of them recognized. They turned around and saw a lady with long black hair with a bang in between her eyes with 2 other bangs tucked behind her ears so the rest wouldn't fall in her face. She is about 2 inches taller than Naruto and is giving off a warm smile only a mother can give off. Shino and Hinata have no idea who this lady is, but Naruto does. He rushed and gave her a hug. Mom, he said, hugging her. My little maelstrom, let me take a look at you. She said, crying as she looked him over. He was a combination of both her and Minato. He had Minato's hair, nose and eyes but had her hair color and jawline. You look so handsome, she said, hugging him again. I don't have much time. Kami only gave me 5 minutes to see you. So I have to ask, why are you holding back? And don't try to argue, I know you are holding back. She said in a no-nonsense tone. Naruto, what does she mean you're holding back your strength? Hinata was confused and Shino was also interested. He put up a barrier to keep them from getting ambushed. What she means is I'm not at mid-Chunin level like you two. I'm actually mid-Junin level 1, only say mid-Junin because of my lack of experience, but if I go all out I can go toe-to-toe with Kakashi, but he still might win because he's fought in a war and has more experience than me, but it would be by the skin of his teeth. They had their jaws on the ground. Now tell them about your eyes. I know you want to keep them a secret, but they have to know what you're going to go through in the future. His mother said. So he told them about his Mangekyo and how he will eventually start to lose his eyesight until he gets an eye transplant. Now Naruto, hearing all of that, I am here to tell you you are downgrading your strength right now. You are stronger than Kakashi. I talked to Shisui, he said you're almost as strong as he was, and before he died he was at low Sannin level, so you don't have to worry about anybody eating you in the village except Hiruzen and the one-eyed pedophile, and you know why I said Danzo. She said. He knows about Danzo stealing Sharingan from the Uchiha dead bodies after the massacre, but without secure evidence he can't do anything about it. Also, thank you for taking the curse seal off of Koko-chan. Your father and godmother would have done it had done, but they died. It was a good thing you were left the Uzumaki sealing scrolls. She said. She started to fade and they all knew what was happening. I guess it's time for me to go now, Naruto, and stop hiding your Sharingan. You should be proud to be an Uchiha, if not be proud that you are my son. I won't say use your Mangekyo, however don't be afraid to show that you have your Sharingan matured. Now go and show them what the student of Shisui the teleporter can do. I love you Naruto. I wish you the best in life and two more things. Number 1 Go ask Hiruzen about your father and number 2, she is still alive in Kumo. She was just leaving the wave when you arrived. You missed her by 2 minutes. By don't worry, I have a feeling you will see her in the future. Those were her final words before she disappeared. Hinata went and put a hand on his shoulder and smiled at him. He understood now. No more hiding. His Sharingan flared to life, the 3 tomos spinning. He dropped the barrier and said 2 words. Let's go. Shino and Hinata nodded as they hopped into the trees going to the tower. On the way he felt Sakura's chakra signature drop and they made their way to them to see what was going on. They arrived and saw Kiba knocked out as well as Sasuke. Sakura looked like she went through hell and her hair was even cut. They noticed Lee looking beat up and Naruto noticed Tenten being held back by Neji, so he decided to take action. He jumped down into the clearing with his Sharingan activated and glared at the 3 sound shinobi. Shino and Hinata dropped down to help, but Naruto told them to check on Kiba, Lee and Sakura. They sound shinobi were shocked the other Uchiha showed up but has a 3-tomo Sharingan. The sound shinobi with black gravity defying hair spoke up. You leaf ninja just keep appearing out of nowhere. Oh well, more people for me to play with. He said. Another tried to stop him. Zaku wait. But it was too late. He had already pointed his hands at Naruto. Decapitating airwaves. He blew a strong gust of wind at Naruto, who didn't move and got hit by the blast. Naruto! Yelled Sakura. Rock Lee, Hinata, Ino, Choji, Shikamaru, who were also there but not injured, and Tenten. However, a gust of wind blew the smoke away, revealing Naruto, who was standing there with his arms crossed. Is that all you can do? He asked. Zaku got pissed. No, this is. He was about to do another jutsu, but his arm had a kunai lodged where the air came out and got a kick to the side of the head and knocked out by Naruto. Nobody saw him move except Lee and Neji, who barely saw him due to his Byakugan being activated. He's fast. But that means nothing. Neji thought. He's almost as fast as me without my weights on. Lee thought. The other sound ninja both were shocked by how easy it was for Naruto to defeat Zaku. Here is our scroll. Take it, we don't want to cause any more trouble. The mummy-looking sound ninja said, placing their earth scroll on the ground, and picked up his teammate. The other followed after him. Get down here right now. Naruto said out loud, confusing everyone before Neji and Tenten dropped down. Tenten immediately went to scolding Lee while Naruto glared at Neji. Why didn't you help your teammate? Instead you chose to hold Tenten back. It was not our fight. If he was foolish enough to jump in that fight, then he should deal with the consequences. Neji said arrogantly. Next thing he knew, a fist knocked the air out of him, making him drop to his knees. If you're foolish enough to say something like that around me, then you deal with the consequences. Naruto said and went to check on everybody. After 10 minutes everybody was patched up and Kiba tried to fight Naruto, but everybody minus Neji told him not to, but he didn't listen and charged at Naruto, who punched him in the nose, ending that little fight. They were all about to leave when a sinister chakra came from the tree Sasuke was under. He came out with black markings and purple chakra around him that was dark and sinister. This power he gave me. I can feel it growing stronger every second that passes. He looks around and sees everybody moving back from the sinister chakra except Naruto, who just stands there. Naruto, I want to test this new power out against you. He said with a cruel smile and activated his Sharingan with 1 tomo in his right eye and 2 in his left eye. The others are about to step in, but Naruto holds his hand out at them. Stay out of this. It was going to happen sooner or later. Let him have some fun. You all know what I'm capable of when I'm not even trying. He said, getting nods from the others. He motions for Sasuke to come at him. Due to his curse mark, his speed increased to mid-chunin, and every punch or kick he threw at Naruto was dodged easily, so he jumped back and went through hand signs. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. He blew a large fireball at Naruto, who covered his hand in water chakra, putting the fireball out, shocking everyone looking at him. He vanished in a shunshin and put Sasuke in a chokehold until he passed out. Everyone was in shock at how easy he took Sasuke out. Naruto dropped the extra earth scoop and his team left for the tower. It didn't take them long, they were the second team there. The Suna team was the first to make it. They had 3 days left so they relaxed. 3 days later they are in the Chunin exam stadium. The Hokage starts to go through his speech about the true meaning of the Chunin exams until Naruto raises his hand. Yes, Naruto. Hiruzen said, I don't want to be disrespectful but at the same time I want to, so can you speed it up? I don't think any of us are paying attention and you are pretty old, maybe you should take a seat and let us get started. Besides we both know you don't like saying the stupid speech. He said, shocking everyone that he can just talk to the Hokage like that. Fine Naruto Hayate you're up. He said and Hayate arrived. Alright my name is Hayate and I'm the proctor for this part of the exam since there are still too many of you we need to have an elimination tournament of one-on-one matches until there are a certain amount left. Now if anybody wants to quit you may do so now. He said. Kabuto was the first to raise his hand to the shock of Sakura, Sasuke and Kiba. Alright you got me, I give up. He said. Kabuto, why are you quitting? Sakura asked. I'm low on chakra right now from too much fighting. I can't go on any further. He was about to leave until Naruto spoke up. Or is it because you're a? Naruto said causing Kabuto to stop walking. What did you say? He asks in a low cold tone. You heard me. I thought you were feeling lucky. I never knew your mother raised you to quit like a bitch, she must be disappointed in you. I mean you claim you're out of chakra yet you're not even breathing heavy. If you're a just say so and we will understand. But if you aren't stay and fight like a man. Unless of course you want to go find a man so you can have him fondle your balls and play with your asshole if you like that, I'm not judging everyone has their own preferences. He said, Proctor I changed my mind I will fight. Kabuto said and got back in line. Oh okay anybody else that wants to quit? Hayate asked and Sakura and Ino raised their hands and said they weren't ready to be a Chunin yet so they walked up to the balcony. Sakura told Sasuke to back out so he can get his mark checked out and he refused. Anko was having the same thoughts but Kakashi argues against her so she just dropped it if he wants his student to have the curse mark so be it. Okay since 2 people dropped out somebody will have to fight 2 maybe 3 times and somebody may not fight at all if the person fights 3 times. Does anybody want to take that chance of fighting 2 maybe 3 times? I do. Naruto said, raising his hand. Hayate nodded and Anko presented a board. This board will randomly select 2 names once your name appears, you and your opponent will come down to the arena for your match. The matches go on until I say stop killing is allowed but we will try to avoid it. Hayate said as the board starts to go through names it selects 2 names. Kiba Inuzuka vs Naruto Uchiha. Will Kiba and Naruto stay in the arena? Everyone else go up to the balcony and wait your turn. Hayate said everyone leaves except Naruto and Kiba. I hope you're ready to go down you street rat. It's time that you learned your place in this world. Kiba said, start the match. Was all Naruto said. Okay match number 1 between Kiba Inuzuka and Naruto Uchiha begins. Hayate said and jumped away. Now up on the balcony Kakashi decided to taunt Team 8 while Sasuke activated his Sharingan to try and copy some of Naruto jutsus. He would soon be disappointed. Your student might as well back out now Kurenai I've managed to get Kiba's taijutsu up to almost mid-Chunin level which is almost as good as yours and you're a Junin, so unless you were able to train Naruto I don't think he will win. Kakashi said while reading his book. Oh I hate to burst your bubble but Naruto beat me in a spar in taijutsu and I was going all out and it didn't look like he was trying much. So the past 4 months while you were reading your smut I was training my team with the help of Anko in our taijutsu and ninjutsu. My taijutsu is almost as good as Anko and I've learned some ninjutsu. However Naruto is the strongest on the team including me the only people I think would be able to beat Naruto in a taijutsu fighter guy, Jiraiya and the Sandame. At the least overall I would put Naruto at your level while Shino and Hinata are mid-Chunin overall. She said shocking everyone present that she, a rookie Junin, had the strongest genin team, maybe even stronger than Guy's team. Sakura decides to speak up. There, No way those bakas are stronger than Sasuke-kun, I bet you're just making that up so. She was cut off by Kurenai putting a silencing seal on her. What Kurenai says is true. Sakura was it? Tenten asked, getting a nod from Sakura, who couldn't speak. Didn't you see what he did to Sasuke in the forest? It's not even fair to compare them, he completely toyed with him. She said. Tenten, what do you mean by that? Guy asked. What I mean is whatever happened to Sasuke in the forest gave him a major power boost and he fought Naruto moving at mid-chunin speed, but Naruto dodged every attack like it was nothing. Sasuke got mad and shot a large fireball jutsu. Naruto, who just lifted his hand and caught it while putting it out. I don't know how he did it, but it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Tenten said. Everyone was shocked by this and returned to watch the match, but it was already over. 2 minutes earlier. Akamaru, stay out of this. I won't need you for him. I'll take him in one blow. Kiba said. Naruto stayed quiet and built up some wind chakra. Ninja art, beast mimicry. All fours jutsu. Kiba came charging at him in low chunin speed, however Naruto stopped him with his jutsu. Wind style. Sonic boom jutsu. Kiba was stuck in a tunnel of wind while small crescent blades of wind cut him up. The jutsu ended and Kiba fell to the ground, cut up and in pain. He stood up but found a fist in his stomach. His eyes rolled to the back of his head and he was knocked out. Winner Naruto Uchiha. Everybody was stunned but Anko, who was cheering for Naruto. He went up to the balcony and everyone was staring at him. What? He asked. We learned about your little fight with Sasuke. Kurenai said, pissing Sasuke off. Oh, is all he said? Is that all you have to say? Ino asked. Yeah, it is. I have a question, Fishcake. Tenten asked. His eye twitched and everyone chuckled at the nickname. What is it, Panda-chan? He asked. How did you catch his fireball and put it out like that? She asked. I'm surprised you don't remember. When we were in the orphanage and would play ninja, I would always catch the imaginary fireball and throw it back or put it out. I was training one day and figured I'd give it a try. I used a shadow clone, of course, and after a lot of test runs and experiments with chakra natures, I figured it out. I can catch it and throw it back with fire nature chakra, or I can catch it and put it out with water chakra. He said. Wait, you mean to tell me you got that idea from a game we played as kids? She said. Yeah, pretty much. He said. They were cut off by the next match being announced. Will Yorori Akado and Sasuke Uchiha please come down? Hayate announced. Yorori, after a brief talk with his sensei, who Naruto knew was Orochimaru, that was the worst disguise ever, walked down to the arena. Orochimaru looked up, felt someone looking at him and met Naruto's eyes. Naruto decides to mess with him by activating his 3-Tomo Sharingan. Orochimaru had an angry look on his face since his curse mark couldn't get placed on Naruto. Then a look of realization was on his face. He was holding back in the forest when we fought. Orochimaru thought Naruto, seeing Orochimaru understood, just smirked and only caught the end of Sasuke's match. Lion's Barrage. He kicked Yorori in the stomach as he fell to the ground, knocking him out. Winner Sasuke Uchiha. Hayate said. Kakashi then grabbed Sasuke and disappeared with him. Most likely to seal his curse mark. Good luck dealing with Orochimaru. Naruto thought as he noticed Orochimaru left as well. The next match was announced. Shino Aburame vs Zaku. Can both contestants come down? Hayate announced. Shion won the fight by exploding Zaku's arms with bugs and trapping him underground with the headhunter jutsu. After the match, Kakashi reappeared with no Sasuke. Next match was Temari vs Tenten. Naruto spoke up. Tenten, this is the worst possible fight for you. She is a wind user and can blow away your weapons. Try to get in close and force her to use taijutsu instead. Tenten nodded and went down to begin the match. It was a good match. Tenten did get in close and forced her to use taijutsu, but Temari managed to kick her away and use her wind ninjutsu. She used one similar to Naruto's sonic boom jutsu, but she needed a weasel to cause the cuts. She let Tenten fall out the air and tried to break her spine with her fan. She stood up underneath where she was falling, but Naruto jumped and caught her standing on the fan, shocking Temari and everyone else but Guy and the Hokage because they didn't see him move. Only those two did. Shikamaru fought the girl from the sound team and trapped her in his shadow possession jutsu and forced her to bang her head on the wall, knocking her out. Next match was Hinata versus Neji. They both made it to the fighting area where Neji tried to belittle Hinata but was surprised it didn't work. They settled into their gentle fist stances, although Hinata's was different. She was leaning to the left with her left knee bent and her right leg stretched out with body twisted slightly, her hands in the air. Her left arm was more up with her hands pointed down at the ground. Neji spoke up. That is not the gentle fist stance. Are you that much of a disgrace to the clan that you can't even use the proper fighting stance? He said arrogantly. This is my version of the gentle fist. I call it the flowing gentle fist. The traditional style you other Hyuga use is too stiff for my body type. Hinata explained. It does not matter, you are fated to stay a loser your entire life. Neji said. Hayate started the match and Neji rushed at Hinata but was shocked when she twisted around his attack and hit him with two palm strikes in his back. He glared at her and they picked up the speed. After a while Hinata noticed she wasn't closing his tenketsu after a while and noticed her arms were practically useless. She raised her hand and forfeited the match, stating it was pointless to continue if she can't properly use her arms. Neji didn't like this and stuck her in the chest. He tried to strike her hard but she pushed his hand to the side and he hit the other side of her chest. No major damage was done but she collapsed but stood back up, shocking everyone but Shino and Naruto. She coughed up blood as she spoke. It's a shame that someone as talented as yourself can't even be satisfied when the opponent gives up that you have to attack once my guard is down and the match is over. I guess you were mad that I'm able to go toe to toe with you using a style that is only 4 months old. Oh well, I believe I've made my point. With that she turned and walked before collapsing to a knee, coughing up blood. Neji, seeing this, took out a kunai and rushed her from behind but was stopped by all the Junin present. Look at this, the main branch getting special treatment yet again. Neji snarled. No, you're wrong, dipshit, we just saved your life. Turn to the right and you'll see what I mean. Anko said from behind him. He turned around and saw Anko basically tackling Naruto at his waist and the third Hokage's personal Anbu cat blocking the Kubikiribocho with her own sword that was an inch from taking his head off. Neji, you better hope we don't fight in the second round. And by the way, you all forgot about our other teammate. Look at Neji's legs and you'll see what I mean. Naruto said. They looked down and sure enough Neji's feet were trapped by an earth jutsu with Shino having a kunai at his spine. However, Naruto was holding his wrist. Whatever, you're fated to lose to me no matter how strong you are. Neji arrogantly said. The Junin let him go and Shino dropped his earth jutsu and Neji left back to the stands. Hinata was taken to the hospital to be checked out. Next match was Kankuro vs some leaf genin nobody knew existed, Masumi other than Masumi becoming a human rubber band and Kankuro revealing his control over puppets. It was anticlimactic. Next match was shown, Kabuto vs Naruto. Both smirked at this, Kabuto because he was going to make Naruto eat his words and Naruto because he was about to inflict some serious damage to Kabuto and had a plan to make sure he couldn't forfeit as soon as the match started, which unknown to him was what Kabuto was going to do. After a few minutes of fighting they both made it to the fighting area where Naruto quickly threw 4 kunai into the walls surrounding them. What was that for? Naruto planning something already? Kabuto asked mockingly to get under Naruto's skin, but it didn't work. Actually just a little barrier so you can't weasel your way out of this fight. It's a privacy barrier people can see in, but no quitting early because no sound will be able to come from the barrier and you can't hide in the ground as well. The barrier goes into the ground as well. You said you were feeling lucky earlier, so I wanted to test you. He said inwardly. Kabuto and Orochimaru were relieved. They thought he figured out Kabuto was a spy. However, Anko, Naruto and Hiruzen knew he was. They had Inoichi on standby for a mind walk at the T&I department. The match between Kabuto and Naruto may begin now. Hayate jumped away as the barrier formed. Kabuto smirked, not believing what Naruto said was true. I forfeit, I can't win against him, he's too strong. However, Hayate just stood there. Naruto smirked. Told you already you can't escape now, let's begin. He activates his Sharingan showing 3 tomos shocking all the Junin except Kurenai and Anko. He rushed at Kabuto at low Junin speeds to everyone's shock when Kabuto sent a punch at Naruto it went right through him. Naruto appeared behind him and kicked him in the back hard, sending Kabuto into the barrier that shocked him. Oh yeah, I forgot, if you touch the barrier you get a shock. Kabuto, getting tired at being made to look like a joke, decided to go at him with full strength and activated his chakra scalpels and rushed him. Naruto decided to make it look believable, so he avoided any shots to vital areas and allowed Kabuto to hit him a few times. He knew they will heal up by the time the match is over. After a while, Naruto decided to use some ninjutsu. Wind style. Air slash. He coated his hand in wind chakra and slashed his hand upward, sending an arc of chakra at Kabuto, who barely dodged it but still got cut up on his side. Naruto, however, didn't let up. He went through 3 hand signs. Fire style. Fire breath jutsu. He shot out a stream of fire at Kabuto, who jumped up to avoid it, but his right leg got burned and he yelled out and however was not done. He held his hand up and created something like a spear made of lightning chakra and threw it. Lightning javelin. The javelin hit Kabuto and pierced his shoulder into the barrier. He was electrocuted and felt double the pain. His nerves were shot and he passed out. Naruto dropped the barrier. I win, he said. The medic came and took Kabuto, but Naruto sensed the medic had no emotions. Quickly using Anbu signs, he told the Hokage and left after the Anbu. He found the Anbu with Kabuto and killed the Anbu. He took Kabuto to Inoichi. Inoichi knew he only had 3 minutes, so he went in and got what he needed and covered his tracks. Kabuto's mind looked how it did before Inoichi entered his mind. He nodded to Naruto, who took Kabuto to the medic bay at the stadium. He felt Orochimaru coming and suppressed his chakra before leaving undetected. He made it back in time to see the next match being called. He guessed Choji lost, but they said Choji did impress the judges in his match versus Dosu by the way he fought and had to come up with plans on the fly. It was a good 10-minute match, they said. He didn't even know he was gone that long. Naruto versus Rock Lee. This match will begin in 2 minutes, giving Naruto some time to catch his breath. Hayate said Lee and Guy for the past 2 minutes were going on about the flames of youth, and Naruto just sat there meditating, getting his breathing under control and let his wounds heal up, which took 45 seconds for them to be done. So he just sat there meditating and people tried to talk to him, but Anko and Kurenai told them to stop and leave him be. They both knew why Naruto was acting like this. His taijutsu was mostly self-taught from his mother's scroll. He was going up against the student of a taijutsu master who Naruto had no doubt was the strongest genin besides himself in terms of taijutsu. If they had to guess, Naruto knew he would struggle if Lee knew how to open any of the celestial gates after the second gate. A buzzer was heard and the 2 minutes were up. It was time for the final match of the exhibition matches. Hayate jumps away but goes to the balcony with the Hokage. He had a feeling this fight was going to be out of control. Everyone in the arena had their eyes glued on the 2 fighters. The Junin and Anbu could feel the tension in the air between them, but they knew it wasn't due to hatred or hostility between the 2. It was out of respect. Naruto respected Lee because of his hard work, and Lee respected Naruto because even though he was stronger than all of the genin, he never once flashed it and helped his team become better. After settling into their respective fighting stances, Naruto in his Kame style and Lee in his Goken style. Neither moved for about 2 minutes until Lee shot forward with a punch that Naruto easily blocked. Lee, not being one to give up, backed off and appeared behind Naruto and swung a roundhouse kick at Naruto's head, which he ducked and quickly got into Lee's guard and gave him 3 quick strikes to his ribs before he did a spinning kick, knocking Lee to the ground, causing him to roll, but Lee corrected himself and did a handstand, bouncing back up to his feet. The genin in the arena had their jaws hanging open at what they just saw. However, the Junin and Hokage knew they were just testing each other. Lee, take them off, Guy said. Lee nodded and took off the weights, throwing them to the side, causing a huge amount of dust to kick up. The genin were shocked that his weights were so heavy. Lee instantly appeared in front of Naruto with another punch that Naruto blocked. Lee disappeared again and kicked Naruto's legs from underneath him and gave a front kick sending Naruto rolling into the wall. But as soon as Naruto hit the wall he stood and sped in front of Lee, shocking him momentarily. He used that to his advantage and knees Lee in the gut, causing him to lean forward, which got him a knee to the chin and 3 more punches, but this time Naruto gave him 2 punches in the ribs and a straight jab to the face, staggering Lee. Then he gave Lee a front kick sending him to the wall. After a couple seconds Lee came out of the wall. His jumpsuit was torn a bit and he had a busted lip. They looked at each other before disappearing. This time they were a blur to everybody that couldn't see Junin level speeds through kicks, punches, elbows, knees and an occasional headbutt at each other. Each one was connecting and sometimes their fists would hit each other, resulting in a small shockwave. They were met in a stalemate with Lee holding one of Naruto's fists and Naruto doing the same. Lee gave Naruto a knee to his gut and an upward kick to the chin, then gave a few quick punches to Naruto's ribs and kicked him away, sending him flying back. As soon as Naruto stood, Lee was on him again. He came spinning towards Naruto with a kick. Leaf Hurricane. Naruto barely had time to block. He managed to cross his arms in front of him, but the force behind the kick sent him into the wall. Naruto stayed in the wall for a few seconds. His shirt was torn up, but he didn't care. He went through hand signs and said a move nobody thought they would see again. Dance of the Teleporter. He started moving so fast using the Shunshin that it started to create after images, but to the genin watching the fight, all of the after images started beating Rock Lee, who was doing his best to avoid and block the kicks and punches but was failing. He was getting knocked around so much that Might Guy was worried about his student. After the jutsu ended, Lee was bruised and had cuts all over him. After a few seconds he was standing up in his stance, breathing. He started to unwrap the wrist tape he had on and begun running around Naruto in a circle, going faster and faster until he suddenly appeared in front of Naruto and kicked him in the air and jumped up after him, giving him a few more before wrapping him up in the wrist tape. He grabbed Naruto and started a corkscrew spinning motion, going head first to the floor. "Take this," Lee said. Primary Lotus. Naruto crashed into the ground while Lee jumped away at the last second. Everyone was waiting for the cloud of dust to settle and see the condition of Naruto. After a while the dust settled and revealed Naruto standing, although he was supporting some cuts on his body now. Lee and Guy are in shock that he is able to stand after that. How are you standing after that?" Lee asked. "I covered my body in a layer of chakra, canceling out some of the damage I would have taken. Although you didn't give me much time to create the layer, but I managed to pull it off," Naruto said after that he noticed Lee was in pain and he rushed him and started beating him with punches and kicks. Lee jumped back, but Naruto appeared in front of him as soon as he landed and started giving him more punches. The beating Lee was taking almost made Guy want to jump down and stop the fight, but he remained on the balcony. The genin on the other hand were shocked. They never seen such a fight in their life. While the Leaf Junin knew it was a no-brainer that if not both, one of these two would get promoted to Chunin. Meanwhile Naruto just landed a vicious punch to Lee's gut, lifting him off the ground, and then a strong right hook making Lee stumble, and he rushed him again. He delivered an uppercut and started raining down lefts and rights, and of them connecting. After 15 seconds of non-stop left and right punches he stopped and looked at Lee, whose arms were limp at his side. He gathered chakra into his fist and gave a straight jab, sending Lee flying into the wall. Lee, Tenten and Guy yelled, worried about their student and teammate. After 2 minutes Lee came out of the wall bloodied and breathing heavy. He took a stance, but this time his arms were crossed in the position of an X. Naruto, knowing what was coming, released his resistance seals and activated his Sharingan. Resistance seals. Release. Now the Junin and Genin including his team were shocked. Asuma spoke up. "Kurenai, what the hell have you been teaching your students?" "I didn't teach him that. He already knew Fuinjutsu. When he came to my team he gave all of us resistance seals, in fact, but I thought he already deactivated them given how fast he was moving," she replied. Guy-sensei, why doesn't Lee just give up? I don't think he can take any more beatings," Sakura said. "That's because the Leaf Village lotus blooms twice," Guy responded. I've heard that before. Yeah, Lee said something like that to me in the Forest of Death," She replies. But that means. No Guy, you didn't. Kakashi stated. Oh yes Kakashi, I did. Guy responded. So you're telling me that Genin, that boy, can open the 8 inner gates and use the hidden lotus? Kakashi said. Hidden lotus? Neji thought, hearing the conversation between them. That's right, I did. Guy said. Well, if that isn't the most. Okay, so how many gates can he actually open? Kakashi asked. 5 gates. Guy answered. Okay, what are these 8 inner gates and the hidden lotus you're talking about? Sakura asked, tired of being ignored. The 8 inner gates are like valves or chakra limiters that must be opened if one wants to release the hidden lotus. Guy says. I still don't get it. She said. There are 8 chakra gates along the chakra network located at those points in the body is where the chakra is the most heavily concentrated. Starting at the head there is the gate of opening, the gate of rest, the gate of life, the gate of pain, the gate of closing, the gate of joy, the gate of shock, and finally the gate of death. These are what is called the 8 inner gates. Their purpose is to limit the amount of chakra through the body, but the lotus exerts tremendous pressure on these limiters, eventually forcing the gates open. This releases the restraints on the chakra, the result being that a person's strength can be increased tenfold or more. Kakashi said as he lifted his headband, revealing his Sharingan. The primary only opens the first gate, the gate of opening, releasing the brain's restraints on the muscles, freeing the person to bring forth the body's strength to the full extent. You've seen the results. Guy continued. What about the hidden lotus? Sakura asked. At the second gate, the gate of rest, one's strength is increased further, and at the third gate, the gate of life, one enters the hidden lotus. Guy said. But the primary lotus almost destroyed him. He could barely move. What would happen to him if he takes it farther? She asked. Exactly, by opening all 8 gates you can obtain strength, even then cages, the only drawback is you die. Kakashi said, shocking Sakura. I don't know what that boy means to you, Guy, but I shouldn't have to tell you, we never bring personal feelings into play. I never thought you were capable of this. Kakashi said. You have no right. You know nothing about him, nothing at all. He has something to prove, something he will prove even at the cost of his life, and I am determined to help him reach his goal, not for his sake but because that goal is worth reaching. Besides, Naruto was on your team before he was paired with Kurenai. You never trained him, you spent all your time training Sasuke because he reminded you of yourself when you were his age, which, may I remind you, isn't a good thing. So don't tell me how to train my genin when you couldn't even train yours properly. Guy said, glaring at Kakashi, who said nothing. As you've heard from Guy Sensei, Naruto. I have something to prove. Lee said. I know what you're planning to do, Lee, and I've been waiting for it. It's time we end this. Naruto said. You are right, it is time to end this. Neji, Sasuke and yourself have won. I will not be the only one to lose today. Lee said as his chakra level started to grow. Guy Sensei, please let this work. It is now or never. His chakra becomes visible as he brings his arms down to his sides. To protect and maintain one's own ninja way. Lee and Guy thought. The third gate of life open. Lee said as his body turned red. What's happening? Kankuro asked. He's opened the third gate of life, now he'll attack. Kakashi states. No, he won't, not yet. Guy said, confusing everybody in the stands. The fourth gate. Gate of pain open. Lee said his veins started popping out on his head as the fourth gate opened. He crouched down and took off at speeds Naruto could see but barely. He was breaking the ground, kicking up chunks of earth, shocking everybody, even Naruto. Next thing Naruto knew, he got a stiff kick to his chin, creating a shockwave that almost blew everyone over. He's faster than ever. Kakashi said. Naruto. Hinata exclaimed, worried about her teammate. Where are they? Shino asked. Up there. Shikamaru said, seeing Naruto floating in the air. Lee appeared in front of Naruto and started to kick him all over the fighting area like it was nothing. Although it was hurting, Naruto couldn't help but enjoy himself. He felt that familiar heat rising inside him, and it kept building. He wasn't the only one to feel it. Anko and Hiruzen felt it as well. They looked at each other and smirked, knowing what was happening. Kurenai, seeing this, asked what was going on. Don't worry about it, Nai-chan. Let's just say something interesting is about to happen to Naruto that if I have a feeling will help him beat Lee even if he is using the 8 inner gates. Anko said. As Lee was kicking Naruto, he noticed him taking the pain very well. You're a strong one, Naruto, take this. He said as he was barely able to make a fist because his muscles were in so much pain. The 5th gate. Gate of closing open. He said he disappears and punches Naruto in the gut, sending him down to the floor, but wraps him in his wrist tape again and yanks him back up, delivering a viciously hard kick to the chin. Hidden Lotus. Naruto was sent crashing to the ground, however the Naruto that hit the ground went up in a puff of smoke. You almost got me, Lee. If I hadn't created that clone and substituted with it, I would have lost. Naruto said. He got ready and charged at speeds that even the Junin had trouble keeping up with. He was almost as fast as Lee. With the gates open, they met in the middle and started giving punches and kicks that each time connected have off shockwaves. Naruto, using his Sharingan, found an opening and delivered an elbow to Lee's gut and kicked him away, but Lee was using 5 gates so he didn't stay down for long. They started trading blows again, but this time another heat rose in the arena and a presser was around. Anko and Hiruzen smirked again. It was time for Naruto to let loose. After a while, Naruto was so into the fight that he was starting to dodge all of Lee's attacks and became even faster than him, but his attacks weren't really doing anything, so he started to add chakra to his punches and kicks, and Lee's face scrunching up told Naruto he was feeling the pain. What's going on? What is this heat and pressure that Lee is giving off? I never knew the gates gave a calm and relaxing presence as well. Asuma said. That pressure isn't coming from Lee. It's coming from Naruto, but we don't know what it is. It only happens randomly, I guess, when he is in a good fight that can push him. But going by the look on Guy's face, I'm sure he knows what's going on. Anko said, making everybody look at him, and his face had a shocked expression. No way, he whispered to himself as he saw Naruto's Sharingan turn silver. Naruto started to dodge every single strike that Lee sent at him even sharper and faster, and his regular hits started to do damage to Lee, who was keeping the 5th gate open. Naruto gave a roundhouse kick, sending Lee crashing into the rubble and chased after him. They both were feeling the strain on their bodies but kept going. Naruto completely took control of the fight, dodging everything and anything with grace that made Hinata jealous. Everybody looked at Guy, who had tears in his eyes. Guy, would you mind explaining what is going on? Hiruzen asked. My father, when he was alive, once told me he was on a mission, but he came across a scroll that was from the times of the Sage of 6 Paths. He read the scroll and it stated a fighting technique that would be considered impossible to learn. He was going to bring it back after the mission was completed, but a group from Kumo was on a mission looking for the scroll since they heard rumors about it existing. They found my father with the scroll, they fought over it, and he barely escaped with the scroll. The Kumo team found him and tried to take the scroll, but he burned it, and before the Kumo shinobi could attack, his backup arrived. He told me this fighting style was so difficult that the sage himself said he couldn't do it. It's a technique that allows your body to attack and dodge on its own, but to do that your mind must be completely empty and just let your body take over your motions. He said that it should be easier to dodge without thinking because some people's bodies do that automatically. However, he said attacking will be difficult since everyone thinks about their attacks and if they will work. However, seeing Naruto use it without even knowing is a complete honor, and I'm lucky to be alive to see it happening in front of me. The pressure and heat you feel is from Naruto. He is in a sense in the heat of the battle, and his pressure comes from the amount of power this gives off. However, your body will be in a tremendous amount of pain if you aren't used to using it. The sage stated in the scroll that he doubted the 8 inner gates would be able to defeat somebody who could completely use this technique to the fullest. If Naruto was to ever master this technique, I will personally bow to him as my superior. Guy said passionately, shocking everyone as he has only been passionate about his flames of youth. Although Lee is my student and I care for him like a son and wish him the best, he will not win this fight. He said. So what's it called then, Guy? Anko asked. Ultra Instinct. He says as Lee and Naruto separate. They get ready for one last attack to end this. Naruto gathers a large amount of wind chakra in his right hand, and Lee does the same with his chakra from the 5 gates. Hiruzen seeing this takes action and yells. I don't care who or what village you are from, if you can use the mud wall jutsu, do it now and use as much chakra you can. If they clash they crash, they will bring this building down on top of us. Every Junin and Shino did the jutsu while Gaara sent out a huge wall of sand getting in between the walls. Naruto and Lee rush forward and let loose their chakra attacks. Lee sent his chakra forward and Naruto said his jutsu. Wind style. Pressurized fist. Naruto thrusted his fist forward sending the air chakra in the shape of a fist at Lee, and Lee sent his build-up chakra at Naruto. The result of the attacks was the mud walls and sand were destroyed in the explosion. Everyone was sent flying back from the shockwave, but the stadium remained intact. Everyone stood waiting for the smoke to clear after 5 minutes. The smoke cleared and showed Naruto standing barely with his Sharingan activated, and Lee was stuck in a wall unconscious. The Hokage nodded to Hayate. Winner Naruto Uchiha. Naruto barely looked up before his body locked up on him and he fell to the ground face first. Kurenai and Guy rushed to the arena to grab their students and both had proud smiles on their faces. They took them to the medic area to get checked over and Kurenai returned, but Guy stayed behind. He couldn't help but be happy as tears fell from his eyes at the two boys, no men in front of him. That was the best taijutsu fight he has ever seen. Okay, can everybody who won their match and Gaara come down to what remains of the fighting area? You need to pick numbers to see who you are fighting in the finals. Anko said. Everybody picked a number and showed it to Anko. Kakashi and Kurenai had to pick for Naruto and Sasuke. Okay, so the fights are based on the numbers you drew. Look at the board and you will see your name and your opponent. Anko said. Everyone looked at the board. Match 1 Neji vs Naruto. Everyone felt bad for Neji. Match 2 Sasuke vs Gaara. Match 3 Kankuro vs Shino. Match 4 Shikamaru vs Dosu. Match 5 Tamari vs winner of Match 4. Those are the matches for the final round. You have 1 month to prepare. Hiruzen said. Why a month? Asked Sakura from the balcony. Well, we can't do it next week clearly because of the stadium's condition thanks to the last fight. Plus the judges will be coming in. It's not just me, it will be the Cage, the Fire Daimyo and a council of shinobi from both Suna and the Leaf. Now, he was interrupted by Naruto limping into the area with a crutch. Hokage-sama, I need to talk to you and bring the Sand Genin and Junin sensei. He said in a serious voice. The Hokage nodded. Now you all have a month to train and get prepared for your matches next month. You're dismissed. However, Sand Ninja, please follow me. He said. He got a nod from the 3 Genin and Junin. Shino discreetly put a big on the Hokage, but a glare from Naruto with his Sharingan active made him call it back. Naruto led them to a separate room and put up a privacy barrier. Okay Naruto, what is it that you need? Hiruzen asked seriously. Snake in the grass, was all Naruto said. He got a nod from the Hokage to continue. Orochimaru is planning an invasion with Sand during the final round. He said, making the Junin and 2 Genin nervous. Gaara just stood there. How do you know this, Naruto? This is a serious accusation. Hiruzen said, getting 3 nods from Kankuro, Tamari and Baki. That would be because of me. Midnight said, walking out of the shadows. Naruto, why is there a 4-tailed fox here? Hiruzen ASED. This is Midnight, one of the spy foxes I said I would use to spy on Kabuto. He got a nod from Hiruzen, who knew about the contract but not Kyuubi being the boss. Okay, go ahead and explain, Midnight. Hiruzen said. As Naruto said, he summoned me to spy on a Kabuto guy who smelled like snakes. We the foxes hate snakes and toads. Midnight said. Well, there goes Jiraiya giving him the toad contract. Hiruzen thought. Anyway, I was spying on him since the first day of the Chunin exams and he met up with this guy named Orochimaru. He met up with him every day until he fought Naruto. Good job, by the way. They were talking about an invasion during the Chunin exams finals with Sun's aiding sound. However, I'm sorry to say this, but the Cage is dead. Orochimaru has been acting as him for a couple of weeks now. He killed him on his way back from a meeting with the Wind Daimyo because he refused to attack the Leaf despite the Wind Daimyo taking missions away from them. The key to the invasion is Gaara. He plans on you releasing the One-Tails during your match. A sleeping genjutsu will be casted by Kabuto starting the invasion. He will be disguised as an Anbu. That's everything I know. Midnight finished. Thanks Midnight, you've done enough. This is for you. Naruto unseals a pile of meat which Midnight drools over. Naruto sends him back home. Now about the invasion and Suna's involvement. Hiruzen said, scaring the sand ninja, even Gaara. We had no idea it was Orochimaru, we were just following orders. Baki quickly said. Temari and Kankuro agreed. Don't worry, I'm not going to blame you. However, I want you to participate in the invasion, act like you are still attacking us, but when the invasion starts you will attack the sound ninja. I will deal with Orochimaru myself. It's time I put an end to my student for good. Does Orochimaru leave sound ninja in the sand village? Baki shakes his head no. Okay, good. When the Cage leaves for a diplomatic mission, gather the council and all ninja and tell them about Orochimaru and tell them the plan. Hiruzen said, okay, will do. However, we still have two problems. Sand will need a cage after all this is over with, and we need to do something about Gaara. He can't fall asleep or the One-Tail will escape. Temari said, well, I can't tell who will become cage, so Baki will probably become the temporary cage, or the council will handle everything until someone is chosen. As for Gaara, I can get my seal master to fix his seal, which seems to be the problem. Hiruzen said, great. How long until the seal master can do it? Kankuro asked. I don't know, ask him yourself. He said, pointing at Naruto, who actually stopped paying attention. He came to and everybody was looking at him. You say something. Hiruzen took a deep breath to calm himself down. Can you fix Gaara's seal? Baki asked. I already did. He pointed at Gaara, who was snoring face down on the floor. When did you do it? Temari asked. When we fought in the room at the Chunin exams. You never noticed how calm he's been the past few days. I wonder why he chose now to sleep though. Naruto said. All right, is everything in order? Hiruzen asked and got 3 nods and a snore. Okay, you all have one month to get ready, good luck. They all leave Naruto and Hiruzen head to his office. Naruto lays down on the couch to relax and let his healing abilities get to work. After about 30 minutes of him and Hiruzen talking, a presence has been outside his window for 15 minutes. Are you waiting for a invitation or are you going to stay out there all day? Naruto spoke and in came an old man with long white spiky hair with 2 bangs framing his face with red lines coming from his eyes, wearing a green kimono short shirt and matching pants. He wore wooden sandals and a red haori with a headband with the kanji for oil on it. So who are you? The man starts dancing and Naruto stops paying attention. The man finished dancing while looking at Naruto, who was of course not paying attention. What? He asked. The man fell off his toad and Hiruzen could only sigh at this. Naruto, this is my student Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin. He has agreed to be your teacher for the next month. Hiruzen said and Jiraiya nodded. Why do you want to train me? Naruto asked. Jiraiya looked at Hiruzen and nodded. There is a group of S-rank criminals called the Akatsuki and they are hunting down Jinchuriki for the tailed beasts inside of you. They plan on extracting them. For what I don't know. I do know if the extraction process is complete you will die. He said. What are you going to train me in? Naruto asked. I'm going to teach you how to control the Kyuubi chakra and use it properly. Jiraiya said with a proud smile on his face. Have you ever trained a Jinchuriki on using tailed beast chakra? Naruto asked. Well, no, but it can't be that hard. You just draw out as much as possible and then try to control it, he said like it's the most obvious thing ever. You're a idiot. Let me get this straight. I have a group of S-rank criminals after the tailed beasts chasing me. Jiraiya nods. You want to train me using its chakra to use against them? He nods again. You've never trained a Jinchuriki in using tailed beast chakra and your solution is to pull as much as I can handle. Another nod. Has it ever occurred to you that since they are hunting tailed beasts down that they know how to counter it? A shrug came from Jiraiya. I'll pass this guy as an idiotic moron. I'll see you later, old man. With that, Naruto vanished. He made it to Anko's house to talk to her. He unlocked the door and she was sitting on the couch looking like she was thinking hard. Naruto put a hand on her shoulder, startling her. What's wrong, Anko? He asked. The invasion next month. We can't take on 2 villages at once and I'm afraid I'll lose Iruka. She said. Oh yeah, you haven't heard yet? Well, I can, since you're won the S-rank mission file. He said and activated the barrier he put up last time he walked in on her and Iruka on the couch making out. When did you put that in here? She asked, confused. When you and Iruka looked like you were about to have on the couch about 2 weeks ago. He said. She sighed. We didn't have. Kissing is all we've done. He hasn't even seen the girls yet. I'm afraid he's like the other guys who just want to get in a girl's pants and move on. She said. You do know he is pure like you, right? He said, getting a shocked look from her. Really? Yeah. I mean, he said he has been in Anbu since you went missing and you've been back in the village for a while, and he just 5 years ago and has done nothing but work at the academy. Even when the academy was closed, he was there. I think he is just as nervous about it as you are. You should talk to him. He said. Then he proceeded to tell her about the invasion plan and what's going to happen. Okay, Anko, one more thing. Have you ever thought about getting a different summoning contract? He asked. Yeah, I have, but nobody wants me because I am sided with the snakes. Why? She asks. Because on top of my fox contract I have the dragon contract and they said they would take you on as a summoner. However, you would have to cancel the snake contract, lose the snake pendant and forget snake jutsus. However, they will allow you to keep the taijutsu style since it fits you perfectly. He said. Are you serious? Yes. We would just need Inoichi to completely wipe out the knowledge of snake jutsus from your brain and you cancel that contract. He said. She goes through hand signs. Summoning jutsu. Out comes a snake as tall as Naruto. Yes, Anko, how may I help you? The snake asked. I want you to remove my name from the snake contract. She said. The snake stared at her for a while until the snake contract appeared and opened up. The snake spits venom on Anko's name and it burns away. The snake vanishes in a puff of smoke. Anko takes off the snake pendant and burns it with a small fire jutsu. Okay, we need to go see Inoichi. She said and grabbed him and disappeared to the T&I apartment and went to Inoichi's office and asked him to get rid of her knowledge of snake jutsus. He asked no questions and 10 minutes later he was done. Naruto took them to the training ground and summoned our favorite 500-foot-tall dragon. Hey Naruto, is this the one? Naruto nodded and the summoning contract appeared. Sign it, Anko. Naruto said. She nodded and Naruto told her the hand signs for it and told her to summon her familiar. She went through the Han signs. Summoning jutsu. A small dragon appeared with 4 wings that look like an X when they spread out, with 2 horns that go across its head, almost looking like eyebrows with fins on each side of its head. It looks up at Anko with eyes that have yellow iris and black oval-shaped pupils. It tilts its head at her in a confused way. Ah, it's so cute, she said as she picked up the dragon and cuddled it to her face. Interesting dragon. This one will be a wind user once it grows. However, you have to name it. After you name it, that will complete your bond. You can't summon her until she is ready to start training, so in about 6 months is when you can train your familiar. Bob said before he disappeared along with Anko's familiar. Wait, I forgot to ask him for his name and give my familiar a name. Anko said. Well, summon him back so you can ask him. He said. Summoning jutsu. I'm back again. What do you need, Anko? Bob asked. I need to give my familiar her name and I don't know your name yet. She said. Oh, of course, let me bring her to you. He leaves and returns 30 seconds later with Anko's familiar. Okay, now I think I'll call you Rose. Anko said to her familiar. Who clapped her wings, creating a tiny gust of wind. Well, I guess she will be a wind type when she gets older and starts to train. You will be able to summon her again in 6 months after she grows some more like Naruto, who cannot summon his familiar. Now as I've told Naruto you can summon any other dragon besides the boss and elder. They will determine when you are ready and worthy to summon them. I will tell you now that both of you are close. Now for name, I am the almighty dragon, wielder of green flames and strongest battle dragon outside of the boss dragon and elder. You, Anko, may call me Bob. He said proudly, once again puffing his chest out. Anko just stared at him and looked at Naruto for confirmation. He nodded and she wanted to laugh, but she could tell Bob was really proud of his name, so she let it go. Now if that is all, we shall be off. They nodded and he disappeared with Rose, who didn't want to leave yet. Alright Naru-chan, what will you be doing for the next month? Have you found a teacher yet? Anko asked. The idiot Jiraiya wanted to teach me. He was going to train me in something he didn't understand or know how it works. He said. What do you mean by that? She asked, and he explained the whole Akatsuki situation and Jiraiya's brilliant ideas to use the Kyuubi chakra against them. Wow, I know he is an idiot, but I didn't think it was that much. By the way, he is a major pervert who always peeks on women in the bathhouses. If you turn out like him, I will castrate you. Do you understand me? She asked with a dangerous voice. He nodded frantically, not trusting his own words. Good, now I'm off to prepare for next month. I might even get laid tonight, so don't come over. She said and disappeared in a swirl of fire. I didn't need to know that last part. But time to train. With that, he started working on his chakra control because he had an idea for a jutsu he wanted to make. He did the tree walking exercise by sticking leaves to his body and water walking while balancing a senbon on each of his fingers. He did this for 5 hours straight and decided to call it a day. He went home and went to sleep. Next morning, Naruto woke up and went to the store, but he couldn't get what he was looking for. They were sold out. He decided to go and see the old man. He has a grandson, so he might have what he needs. He shunshined to the Hokage office and saw the same guy from yesterday. Hey old man. Hey pervy sage. At the name pervy sage, Jiraiya's jaw hit the ground and Hiruzen started laughing. Don't call me that. Jiraiya yelled. Yeah, whatever. Old man, I need some water balloons and rubber balls. Do you have any? He asked and was met by silence until Jiraiya spoke up. Why do you need those? He asked, thinking he may know what Naruto has planned. I have an idea for a jutsu I wanted to create, but I need those for shape manipulation, power and rotation. I'm trying to create a ball of pure chakra in my hand for close range attacks. He said. Oh, you mean this? Jiraiya asked and formed a ball of chakra in his hand. Yeah, like that, but how do you know it? Naruto asked. This was created by the Yondaime kid. It's called the Rasengan. It's an A-rank jutsu that took him 3 years to create since he was starting from scratch. He got the idea of seeing a tailed beast bomb once. It took me a couple months to learn. Outside of me and him, nobody knows it. I can teach it to you if you want. Jiraiya said. Sure, but I have a question for the old man. Naruto said. What would that be, Naruto? Hiruzen asked. Who is my father? Naruto said. The Yondaime. He stated bluntly, shocking Naruto. Why didn't you tell me before? Well, I was waiting for you to ask. The instructions were to not tell you until you were a Chunin, or figured you were ready, and given from the damage done to the Chunin exam stadium, you are more than ready. He said, making Naruto scratch the back of his head like his father always did when he was embarrassed. Yeah, good job on that, kid. Now it's time I introduce myself. My name is Jiraiya, yes, but I am also your godfather. I didn't raise you because I figured I would do better keeping outside threats from harming you. I've been keeping an eye on you for the last 13 years. I've only had to stop 50 outside threats to you because somebody told them that there was an Uchiha around that was not being looked over by the clan. I guess Danzo has a hand in that, by we know how good he is at hiding his tracks. Jiraiya said. Okay, that's a reasonable explanation. I already know who my godmother is, so it's okay with me. He said. Who's your godmother then? Jiraiya asked mockingly. Kushina Uzumaki. I know because when the old man gave another scroll that had been left for me, it contained the Uzumaki sealing notes and a letter from her explaining who she was and that there may be another Uzumaki out there somewhere and some may be around my age. She said that when every Uzumaki is born there is a seal placed on them that is explained to them at the age of 7 but won't be active until they are 8. It's invisible to anybody who hasn't mastered the first 4 levels of Uzumaki sealing. It can be activated by whoever has the Uzumaki sealing notes. Inside of it is a beacon seal that lets you know when an Uzumaki is around that shows all Uzumaki alive. I activated the seal once and it only showed 2 Uzumaki clan members alive, but it had a third spot on there showing a half or less than half Uzumaki being alive. One was in the Chunin exams during the second part, but I never found who it was. I'm going to try again in a couple of months and then I'll send out the other part of the seal letting them know they can come to Konoha. Alright Naruto, how far along are you in the Uzumaki sealing notes? Jiraiya asked. I just finished level 5 right before the Chunin exam started. He said. Alright, well Naruto, this is the scroll your father left for you. It can only be opened by your blood. My guess is that this was supposed to be a birthday gift for you since it wasn't a freshly made seal when I found it. Hiruzen said as he handed the scroll to Naruto. He activated the blood seal and a small scroll popped out. He unrolled the paper inside and read it out loud. Happy 15th birthday Naruto. I know this isn't much of a gift, but I was never really good at those. This is 2 of my most prized jutsu. The first is the Hiraishin jutsu. It was created by Tobirama Senju, however I made it even better than he made it. The only way you can use this jutsu is if you have mastered all 10 levels of space-time fuinjutsu and have figured out the key to getting it to work. The second is my personal jutsu. It's called the Hiraishin Darai. You must know space-time fuinjutsu for this as well. This jutsu creates a barrier that is capable of transferring anything to a marked location. I guess if you use enough chakra you can teleport a tailed beast bomb, but I don't want to find out if you can. Below I have left you 50 spare tri-prong kunai for both of these jutsus. Now I have one more technique called the Rasengan, but I'll teach you that myself. Enjoy your day. Love, Dad. To say Naruto was shocked was an understatement. He was crying because he was supposed to get this gift from his dad next year. Wow, so I guess Minato was planning on passing his legacy down to you at the age of 15. So how long do you think it should take you to complete these jutsus? Jiraiya asked. Well, I already know space-time fuinjutsu, but even though knowing fuinjutsu is required, these are classified as S-ranked ninjutsu, so I'll probably have them done within a couple of months. Probably sooner. I just need to figure out the secret to them and everything else will be somewhat difficult. Naruto responded. Alright, let's head to the Hokage's training ground to begin training. Jiraiya responded. Naruto disappeared in a swirl of blue fire. Why is his fire blue? He asked his teacher. I don't know, it's always been like that. His lightning is red as well. He said, shocking Jiraiya, who left in a swirl of leaves. Jiraiya arrived at the training ground seeing Naruto already inside the barrier waiting for him. How'd you get in the barrier? I've been training here since I was 6. We wanted to keep my Sharingan training a secret. He said. Who taught you? Before the academy, I mean. I know it wasn't Kakashi, having heard how he is towards you. Jiraiya asked. Shisui Uchiha trained me until I was 8 before he died. Everything else was self-taught. Even after I got a Junin sensei I still taught myself, especially when I was on Team 7. With Kurenai she couldn't teach me much except chakra control, but she would spar with me to try and fix any holes I had in my taijutsu as best as she could. Naruto said. Okay, so how strong are you exactly? Jiraiya asked. Naruto shrugged his shoulders. I know I'm stronger than Kakashi. He said, shocking Jiraiya. Even though Kakashi slacked off in his training, he was still not to be taken lightly. Okay then, are you healed up 100%? He got a nod from Naruto. Okay, let's spar before we begin the Rasengan. They get into their respective stances and Naruto charged at Jiraiya and Jiraiya blocked the punch but winced from the power behind it. They spared for an hour before Jiraiya called for a stop. Okay, you are definitely low Sannin level, however you are not strong enough to take on even the lower ranked members of the Akatsuki. He said. The only member I know is Itachi because Orochimaru was a part, but he tried to take over Itachi's body for the Sharingan but lost and barely escaped. It was only because Orochimaru's helper Kabuto showed up. You can maybe go toe to toe with Itachi in Taijutsu because of your Sharingan, but without it you would lose to him. Also watch out for his Mangekyo, it's impossible to counter it. He said seriously. I can counter his Mangekyo with my own. Naruto said, activating his Mangekyo Sharingan. When? As all Jiraiya asked. Shisui. Was the response, and he understood. One thing about Orochimaru, he can't keep his mouth shut, and through a lot of research he accidentally found out how to awaken the Mangekyo. But what Orochimaru didn't know was how to counter the blindness. Okay, let's begin with the first step of the Rasengan. The first step is you must pop the balloon with only your chakra. I'll demonstrate for you, he said as he unseals some balloons filled with water. He held one in his hand and began to channel chakra into the balloon, making it bubble all over before popping. Once you can do that in 1 second, we can move on to the next stage. Naruto grabbed the rest of the water balloons and got to work. It took him 6 hours to get the balloon to pop. He had a lot of problems with it. He made it flat like a disc and somehow made it stand up straight like a Senbon that resulted in a sweat drop from both him and Jiraiya, who couldn't even figure out how he did that. He eventually got it, but it took him 5 seconds to pop it. He grabbed another water balloon. He had about 30 left out of the 100 that he originally had. After another 5 hours he was able to get the balloon to pop. However, tomorrow he would try to get it to pop in a split second since Jiraiya had given him tomorrow off. He left the training ground and went to Ichiraku's and ate some food and talked with Ayame. He found out she had gotten offered a marriage contract from a noble family and declined it. She always said she wanted to get married out of love and not through some contract. She was now seeing a civilian boy she met a few months ago. Naruto of course wanted to intimidate him, but only got hit by her ladle that appeared out of nowhere. He went home and went to sleep. He woke up the next day and decided to just stay home, but he went to the store to buy some balloons. Now he was practicing to pop it in a second when someone knocked on his door. He opened it and it was Gaara. They just stood there staring at each other until Naruto spoke. Can I help you? Yes, Tamari did something and I don't know how to respond to it. Gaara said. What did she do? Naruto asked. Well, I woke up and Tamari had me in a soft stranglehold. I didn't know what to do, so I trapped her to the wall with sand and came here. Gaara explained. Naruto's sweat dropped at that last part. That's called a hug, Gaara. People usually give them out if they are happy or sad. In Temari's case, she's happy to have her brother back and she was happy that you were finally able to sleep. You've been asleep since the end of the exhibition matches and then slept the entire next day. Gaara nodded at this explanation and just, you're welcome, he said and got to work on popping the balloon instantly. 3 hours later he finally got it to pop instantly. He worked on his Fuinjutsu for the rest of the day and finished the seal to get rid of the caged bird seal, since he couldn't use the same seal he used for Anko's curse mark due to the caged bird seal being so close to the brain. He needed something specifically for the caged bird seal. He suddenly found what he was looking for and got to work. Next day he met Jiraiya, who was shocked that Naruto could pop the balloon instantly. So they got to work on popping the rubber ball that took Naruto all day. All he kept getting was little holes in the ball. He could see the chakra making the ball bubble like the balloon did, but he didn't understand what he was doing wrong. That's when it hit him. He couldn't focus the power in his hand, so he drew the Uzumaki spiral in his hand to make him focus on adding power. It took him 2 days to get it down. Actually, it took him the next day, but he took an extra day to pop the ball instantly. Now he was working on adding the first 2 steps together, but compressing it he couldn't pop the balloon, and when this was done Jiraiya showed him the end result. The Rasengan should grind into whatever it hits. This was the easiest stage for Naruto and he got in a couple of hours, making Jiraiya pout. Okay, I have one last thing to give you. Since you completed the Rasengan, I want to give you the Toad contract. Jiraiya said, sorry pervy sage but I can't. My summons hate toads and won't allow me to sign the contract. Naruto said, what summons do you have? Jiraiya said ignoring the name calling. The fox contract. Naruto said, shit it would be the foxes. Well the main reason I needed to give you the toad contract is because they have the key to your seal and you can't get it unless you sign the contract. Jiraiya stated, well how about you summon the toad that has the key and I can look at it and make my own key. Naruto told him, that should work. He goes through the hand signs. Summoning jutsu. A black and orange toad appeared out of the smoke. Garotora, I need you to show Naruto the key to the seal. He can't sign the contract because he signed the fox contract. Jiraiya said, are you sure Jiraiya he's just a kid? Garotora responded, yeah I'm sure. He just wants to see it so he can make his own. He's better than me at making seals so I believe he can do it. Jiraiya said, alright if you say so but after this you should summon Gamabunta and tell him. Garotora says and he stretches his body and a scroll-like section of his body unravels showing the key. Naruto activates his Sharingan, memorizing everything before deactivating it. Gyoutora disappears but before they can do anything a large toad appears. Jiraiya, the toad yelled. Yes Bunta. Jiraiya said, where is the boy? I want to talk to him. Gamabunta said, I'm right here. Naruto said standing next to Jiraiya. Okay I understand you can't have the toad contract and that is fine. Jiraiya messed up by not offering you the toad contract earlier. I have a request. If anything were to happen to Jiraiya I would like you to hold on to the contract and find a new summoner. This is an odd request I understand but that is all I ask. Can you do that for me? Gamabunta asked. Naruto thought about it for about 5 minutes. Yes I can do that. How will you know where I am to get me the contract? Naruto asked. If anything happens the elder toad Fukusaku will bring the contract to the Hokage and explain the situation. Gamabunta said before disappearing. Alright that's the only 2 things I could teach you, everything else is toad related. I'll be in and out of the village the next few weeks setting up the counter-attack. I'll be around to spar with you sometimes. After that Jiraiya went up in a cloud of smoke. Naruto sat down on the training ground and made a Rasengan in both hands. He tried to increase the size of the Rasengan but after it got a certain size the outside shell would destabilize and the Rasengan would explode. However, that also gave him another idea to create multiple Rasengans at once and have them inside of a layer of chakra. With that he began to work on making the Rasengan bigger first before moving on to his next idea he had. Chunin exam finals. The month everybody had to train was over with. And all the nobles from different villages were in, even the fire daimyo who came only to see Naruto, who his wife said he should look at. Villagers from the Leaf and Shinobi from the Leaf and Sand village were packed in the stands. The villagers were unaware of the impending invasion but the Hokage had to take a risk. He has Anbu in the stands ready to take the civilians to the bunkers and some Junin in the streets ready to escort those civilians not in the Chunin exam stadium to the bunker where Anko and Iruka will be standing guard. All of the contestants were there except Dosu. Kakashi was there with Sasuke on time due to him knowing about the invasion and he wanted to see if he could learn anything from Naruto. What Kakashi didn't know was that Naruto made it impossible for a Sharingan user to copy his jutsus. All of them required less than 5 hand signs and the Sharingan needs to see all of them. He saw Sasuke staring at Naruto with his now 2 Tomo Sharingan trying to intimidate him. Naruto just looked at him and activated his own Sharingan, shocking Sasuke because it's already matured. Up in the cage's booth the Case Cage has just arrived. Greetings Case Cage Dono. I hope your travels were pleasant. Hiruzen asked. They were quite well, except for the usual bandits trying to make a quick Ryo. Although I am thankful that the exams are being held in Konoha, due to your age I don't know if you can handle the travels or the heat. Responded the Case Cage. Hiruzen just laughed at this playing along. Oh don't count me out just yet. I may be old, but there is still a lot of life left in these bones. He said. The cage only nodded. I'm looking forward to these matches, especially the Uchiha Genin. I've heard that they are both quite interesting. Although I do not think they will be able to beat my son. The cage said. Now then, I believe it is time to get things started. Hiruzen said, standing and began speaking to the crowd, getting their attention. Thank you all for coming to the Hidden Leaf Village for the Chunin exam selections this year. We have come to the final competition between 8 candidates who made it through the preliminaries. We ask that no one leaves until all the matches have finished. Now everyone enjoy. Genma, I hand everything else over to you now. Hiruzen said. You said 8 candidates, aren't you missing one? The cage asked. Yes, it appears Dosu of the sound has not been found. He has by rule forfeited. Hiruzen responded. A Junin with his headband on covering his entire head, chewing on a senbon with the basic Junin outfit on, appears. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Now, as you all know, Dosu is not here, so now the third match will be between Temari and Shikamaru, while the fourth match will now be Gaara vs Sasuke Uchiha. Now listen up, the terrain is different now thanks to an incident during the preliminary matches. He said, giving a pointed look at Naruto, who was scratching the back of his head. The rules are still the same. The match goes on until your opponent is either unable to continue or forfeits the match. Now the first match is between Neji Hyuga and Naruto Uchiha. Everyone else go up to the waiting area. The other 6 candidates went up to the waiting area. In the stands, watch closely, Hanabi. You are about to witness something amazing during this match. Hiyashi said. What is it, father? Hanabi asked. Just watch and you'll see. He responded, getting confused looks from Hanabi and Hinata. Hiyashi was also on edge. All the clan heads knew about the upcoming invasion. He didn't want his daughters to be there, but Naruto told him he has clones hanged into bugs with enough chakra to last for a couple of hours, so they will be sent up with the nobles and daimyo and other important guests inside of a barrier that will keep everyone in and nothing can get through it. His clones will be powering the barrier. While the Hyuga in the first match. I know, and he is going up against the runt of the Uchiha clan. My money is on the Hyuga. Yeah, he doesn't stand a chance. If this was Sasuke, he would wipe the floor with him. I heard the runt was responsible for them having to rebuild the fighting area. Yeah, I heard that too. He must have let the fox out to play. Those were the words said by a couple of civilians who still did not like Naruto either for containing the fox or being the son of Kiyomi Uchiha. However, the 2 Chunin close by the Eternal Gate guards Izumo and Kotetsu had other thoughts. I don't see a way how this Hyuga wins. You heard how Naruto took out 3 opponents in the preliminaries. Izumo said. Yeah, I know, I even heard one of them was a Junin level shinobi. My money is on Naruto to win the entire thing. Kotetsu said. Fighting stage. Neji and Naruto stand face to face waiting for the signal to start. You got something to say? You look a little tense. Neji said arrogantly. Yeah, I do. You're about to get the kicking of a lifetime. I'm only tense for a completely different reason. Naruto responds. They settle into their stances and get ready to fight, and Neji activates his Byakugan. I feel bad for Neji. Genma and the other Junin thought. Begin. Was all Genma said before hopping away. Neji opened his mouth to say something but was sent flying into the wall courtesy of a kick from Naruto that he didn't see coming even with his Byakugan active. He climbed out of the wall and rushed Naruto, attacking him with palm strikes that Naruto would either block or dodge. After no luck of Neji hitting Naruto, he jumped back to think of his game plan. The people in the crowd were cheering at the action they were seeing. All the judges were impressed so far, but it was only the beginning. How is he blocking and dodging my palm strikes? I know I must have hit him at least a couple of times. Neji thought while looking at Naruto, who just stood there calmly. Why do you hate Hinata, Neji? Is it because she's from the main branch while you are a side branch member? Or is it because of something else? Naruto asked. If you must know, it's because of this. He takes his headband off and unwraps his head and reveals the caged bird seal. This seal was branded on me as a child. I was 4 years old when the elders of my clan decided to brand me with this seal. On that same day, after many years and war, a peace treaty was going to happen between the land of fire and the land of lightning. They sent a head Junin to join the celebration and sign the treaty. Everyone was there celebrating, every genin and Junin in the village. Only one clan was absent, the Hyuga clan. Because this day was when the heir to the main house was turning 3. Her father, Lord Hiashi Hyuga, is sitting up there right next to her. Him and my father were twins, yet he was born first, so he is the head of the family, the firstborn. While my father, his brother, was banished to a lesser branch family. This seal, I can assure you, is not for decoration. This seal acts as a punishment as well. If any Hyuga from the main branch are to get out of line, then a main branch member can activate the seal, causing unimaginable amounts of pain to whoever they chose, nearly killing them. However, on that same night, the Junin from Kumo snuck into the Hyuga compound and kidnapped Lady Hinata while she was asleep. A servant of the Hyuga went to check on her and discovered she was missing and immediately told her father. Lord Hiashi found the Junin with Lady Hinata over his shoulder trying to escape, but before he could, he was killed by Lord Hiashi. Then it was later discovered that it was a plot. The treaty was a fake, all so they could get their hands on the Byakugan. Kumo found out, and of course they denied this and demanded the head of the leader of the Hyuga clan for compensation. However, what they got in return was my father, since the caged bird seal can destroy the Hyuga bloodline and any secrets the body may hold. The head of the Hyuga was too scared to give himself up, so he sacrificed his own brother, leaving a 4-year-old boy with no father. That is why I hate the main branch. It is Hinata's fault my father is dead. Neji said. Wow, nice story, too bad it's full of shit. Let me get this straight. Hinata was kidnapped by a Kumo Junin at the age of 3 and you blame her for the death of your father. Neji nodded his head. You're an idiot, you know that. How is Hinata, 3-year-old with barely any training, supposed to stop a Junin who has fought plenty of battles and probably in a war? You said Kumo wanted the Byakugan, so they requested the head of the main branch. They must have known about the caged bird seal, so they specifically asked for a member without it. The only way to make Kumo happy was to give them Hiashi, or in this case his brother, who, if I'm right, like every other branch member, would do anything to be free of the curse mark placed on you. I'm sure he willingly did this on his own, but you need to talk to your uncle and the elders. Now, since that is cleared up, I believe I owe you an whooping for trying to kill my teammate earlier in the preliminaries. Naruto said and activated his Sharingan, shocking those who didn't know he had it. In the stands, he already has a mature Sharingan. How? I know not even Sasuke has one yet. It must be the fox's influence, making him stronger so the fox can be released. Those were of course the civilians talking about Naruto. Wow, no matter how many times I see it, I still can't believe he has the Sharingan at that level and he just turned 13. Asuma said. Yeah, I know, it makes you wonder how long he's had it. Said a random Junin sitting close by. I know, from the blue fire and red lightning and being good at seals. What can't he do? Said Genma, who was up with them. He didn't know if this fight would be like the last one Naruto had. Kurenai, do you know when he unlocked the Sharingan? I know who trained him from the jutsu he used in the preliminaries. Asuma said. No, I don't. Only Anko knows when he unlocked it and matured it. However, I have a feeling he will reveal it. She answered. With the nobles and judges. A Sharingan matured at 13, that is unheard of. Only recent memory is Itachi, who had his matured before he was 13. Said one judge. Yeah, I know, I'm with everyone else wondering when he unlocked it. Said another. Given the way he performed in the first round and the skills he's shown, I think we have our first Chunin, maybe even special Junin. What do you think? Another asked. He got nods of agreement from the other judges. Daddy, I want him to be my husband. Can you make it happen? Asked the daughter of one of the nobles in the land of fire. Of course, sweetie, I'll send the marriage contract once the exams are over and we get back home. That boy will be a gold mine to our family business. Her father said. The other nobles looked at them in disgust. Meanwhile, the fire daimyo was keeping a close eye on him. He piqued his interest since his wife told him about the boy. Naruto Uchiha, huh? You aren't like the usual Uchiha, especially the other one in the village. I've got my eye on you depending on how you do, you just may receive an invitation to the Guardian 12. He thought. Fighting stage. Neji activated his Byakugan and spoke. It doesn't matter that you have the Sharingan, the Uchiha clan has always been second best in everything compared to the Hyuga. You are beneath me, he said. Do not lump me in with the Uchiha clan. I may have their bloodline but I am not a part of that clan. I don't even wear the Uchiha crest. That clan was a disgrace and it was only fitting that they get wiped out by one of their own members. Naruto said. Sasuke was being held back by Kakashi. He wanted to go down there and fight Naruto. Like I said, it does not matter anyway. Besides, Neji gets into a stance that makes Hiashi and the Hyuga elders gasp. You are within my field of divination 8 trigrams 64 palms. Neji stated. However, Naruto already activated his jutsu, so the attacks went right through him. 2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms, 32 palms, 64 palms. However, every single one of them didn't even touch Naruto. That's impossible. How did you manage to evade that? Neji asked. I used my teacher's jutsu that he was famous for, and no, I am not talking about that loser of a Junin Kakashi Hatake. No, I am talking about my first sensei who trained me for 2 years before the academy. Shisui Uchiha, or as other people like to call him, Shisui the Teleporter. He got many gasps from everyone, even the Kazekage couldn't hold his back, making Hiruzen look at him from the corner of his eye. Yes, I was trained by Shisui after unlocking my Sharingan at the age of 6 during a beating I got from these villagers who blamed me for something I had no control over. So over the course of 2 years I trained my off harder than anybody. I matured my Sharingan during a jog around the village forest when I was 7 by a group of Rouge Chunin. I was saved by Shisui. After that he trained me even harder. I hid my Sharingan from everybody up until the preliminaries. Only a few people knew about my Sharingan. I hid it because I was ashamed to have the same blood as that idiotic clan. However, Hinata told me I shouldn't hide my heritage, and if I'm not proud to be an Uchiha, then at least be proud of who my mother is. I've become a seal master by Konoha standards before I even graduated from the academy. I was already on par with Kakashi by the time I was 12, and I have surely surpassed him. As you all witnessed, I can go toe-to-toe with 5 of the 8 inner gates using taijutsu only. Now you've had your fun, it's my turn. Naruto said. He took out a shuriken and threw them at Neji. Shuriken Shadow Clone. The one shuriken turned into 20, heading towards Neji at a fast pace. Rotation. Neji spun around, creating a dome of rotating chakra, knocking away the shuriken. So that's the Hyuga ultimate defense. I can't wait to break it. I've already found 2 weaknesses in the jutsu. He said. Oh yeah, and what's that? This is called the ultimate defense for a reason. Neji said. Then Naruto suddenly appeared in front of Neji, shocking him. The first weakness is you must rotate your body with your arm out for momentum. So if I'm in close, it's useless. Naruto said. Neji then found a knee in his stomach and coughed up blood. Naruto then proceeded to give him the same beating he gave Lee. He made Neji look like his personal punching bag. The beating was so brutal, Hinata and Hanabi have tears falling down their faces. Even though Neji was cold towards the main family, they still loved him like a brother, so seeing this made them cry. Naruto finished beating Neji with a strong uppercut, lifting him off his feet and delivering him a roundhouse kick to his gut. Neji hit the ground and coughed up blood. He stood after laying there for 10 seconds, although barely. I'm surprised you still can stand, but given your current chakra levels, I'd say you have enough left for 1 rotation. How about I show you the second weakness to that ultimate defense? He started to run at Neji, holding his hand out, and swirling noise was heard, shocking many of the older shinobi. They knew that jutsu and who made it. The second weakness in the rotation is the way the chakra moves, which means. He said. Rasengan. Rotation. An explosion happened. Smoke and dust was clouding the fighting area, but a gust of wind from inside the smoke cleared it away, showing Neji laid down on his back unable to move and Naruto staring down at him. All of the Hyuga that were in the stands were shocked that the ultimate defense of the Hyuga clan was easily picked apart. As I was saying, your rotation only spins chakra in one direction. If you go up against an attack that spins in the opposite direction or multiple directions, it gets cancelled out and you lose. Hiyashi-sama, I've finished the 2 projects, shall I show you the results? Naruto asked. Hiyashi, knowing what he was talking about, stood up. Yes, you can, Naruto. I thank you for this and the Hyuga will forever be in your debt. He said with a smile, shocking everyone. What could be so important that the Hyuga head will smile? Hiyashi, what is he talking about? Asked one of the elders of the Hyuga clan. Yeah, father, what is he doing? Hinata asked. Just watch. Is all they got in a response. Naruto nodded and went through 50 hand signs and touched Neji's forehead. Cursed seal removal. Seal evaporation. A slight burning sensation is all Neji felt that lasted for about 30 seconds. Naruto went through 20 hand signs and touched Neji on the side of his head by the temple. Bloodline Destroyer Seal. A seal appeared on Neji's temple before disappearing. Naruto pulled Neji up to his feet and everybody was in shock. What did you do to me? Neji asked weakly. Naruto put a medical seal on Neji, who immediately felt the effects of it, simply told him. I made you a free bird. As well as all the branch members. He pulled out a kunai and showed Neji his reflection. Neji was in shock, but before he could say anything he passed out. What, Hiyashi, we will not stand for this. The caged bird seal was always a part of our family tradition. Yelled the elders. Well, it's a good thing I don't care, as the Hokage is my witness. The Hyuga shall remove the caged bird seal from all branch members and we will all have this new seal put on us. It is time the Hyuga became whole and not separate families. I would rather we not have a situation like the Uchiha clan did. We will remove all seals after the Chunin exams are finalized. He said proudly. The elders were not happy about this. As this was going on, Orochimaru decided to start the invasion early and signaled Kabuto, who was building up chakra, to begin the genjutsu to start the invasion. But Naruto felt the build-up of chakra. We wish your daughter was kidnapped as a child. She was useless to us, so we set up the kidnapping of her with Kumo Junin. Everything was ruined. This is not how things should be. We were close to running the Hyuga our way with you under our thumb, said the Hyuga elder, with the other nodding in agreement. Now this was a shock to Hinata and Hiyashi because the elder was Hiyashi's father. Now what the elders didn't know was that Naruto gave Hiyashi a truth seal to put on them and told him to activate it after he removed the curse seal. Boy, do you have any idea of what you've won to the Hyuga clan? What do you have to say for yourself? The other elder asked. Well, 2 things actually. 1. Thank you for exposing yourselves as traitors. You both are going to be killed. No sooner than he said that, Hiyashi struck them both in the hearts, instantly killing them and burned the bodies. 2nd is the will of fire will always burn even through the darkest of times. This was the signal that the invasion was about to begin, and right after that feathers started to fall and an explosion was heard up in the cage booth. Naruto's clones grabbed Hinata, Hanabi and Neji and took them up to the nobles area and activated the barrier. The Sand and Leaf Anbu got every civilian out of the stadium quickly, and Kurenai and all Junin present released a wave of chakra, releasing anybody from the genjutsu. Sound Ninja appeared and attacked. Giant snake summons appeared, destroying everything in their path, so Naruto decides to summon his foxes. Summoning Jutsu. 5 large battle foxes appeared. Naruto, it's good to see you. How may we help you? One of the foxes asked. My home is being invaded. Can you help us out with the snakes? As soon as he said snakes, the foxes took off and started fighting the snake summons. Naruto, you are to head to the bunker, guard the civilians with the rest of the rookies except Sasuke. Kakashi said, showing up near Naruto with Sasuke by his side. Sorry Kakashi, I'm the one who discovered the invasion. My orders are to take out the snake summons and as many sound ninja I can. My orders came directly from the Hokage, so off. He pulls out the Kubikiribocho and charges into the fight. The sound ninja were confused because the sand ninja were supposed to be on their side but didn't dwell on it and began attacking sand ninja as well. All civilians were in the bunker being guarded by Anko, and Iruka and Anbu brought Sasuke because he was getting in the way during the invasion and almost got himself killed. Anko, you may have some sound ninja on the way, get the genin ready for an attack and keep the civilians safe. The Anbu said before returning to the fight. Alright genin, listen up, we may or may not have sound ninja coming to the bunker, be on the lookout. They all nodded except Sasuke, who ignored her and walked away. Hokage booth. So Orochimaru, you've come to kill me? Hiruzen said. Kukuku, yes I have. I also want to destroy the hidden leaf, that's why I've allied myself with the sand village. Within a few hours the hidden leaf village will be no more. He said, but was shocked when Hiruzen spoke. It seems you misunderstand then. The sand ninja are not fighting with sound, rather against them. He said. Orochimaru looked over and the sand was indeed fighting against the sound. It's over Orochimaru, you've lost. He said. No, I haven't lost. Sound 4 raised the barrier. As soon as he said that, 4 sound shinobi appeared and a purple barrier rose up around them, cutting off the Anbu that arrived to help. Now let's get started, shall we? Orochimaru went through hand signs. Summoning jutsu. Impure world resurrection. 3 coffins appeared with the kanji for first, second and fourth Hyusen, knowing who was in that coffin, threw shuriken at it, causing it to stop rising and go back into the ground. The other coffins finish rising and out steps a man with long black hair and red battle armor and another with gray hairs, red marks on his face and blue battle armor. These were the first and second Hokages, Hashirama and Tobirama Senju. Now let's get started, shall we? Orochimaru says as he shoves a kunai with a tag on the end into Hashirama and Tobirama and they attack. With Naruto. After Naruto finished taking out his sound ninja around him, he looked around and saw the foxes take out the rest of the snake summons before leaving in a cloud of smoke. He saw the sand and sound ninja fighting, but the sound was losing ninja at a fast pace. He was about to head over to the bunker and help, but 10 more sound ninja appeared before him. Naruto Uchiha, you are to come with us. Lord Orochimaru would like you to join his side. One sound ninja said. Sorry, but I'm going to come with you guys, I'm staying in the leaf. He said. Sorry, but you have no choice. All 10 sound shinobi attacked and Naruto activates his Sharingan. He began with taijutsu, blocking and dodging every punch and kick that was thrown his way. He punched one in the throat but had to duck a roundhouse kick from his left. He quickly pulled out a kunai and threw it at another sound shinobi, piercing his heart. He looked up and saw the other 9 charging him. He held up a single hand sign. Fire style. Dragon Rain Jutsu. He breathed out a large amount of blue fire, and once it reached its highest level, dragons made of fire began crashing down, taking out 8 of the remaining sound ninja. The last one managed to get out of the way, but he did get the tail end of the explosion. Naruto starts concentrating lighting chakra into his right hand and summons a hammer of lightning and throws it at the sound shinobi, who is shocked at seeing this and gets hit before he can stand up all the way. Naruto said one final jutsu. Lightning Edge. His hand was covered in red lighting chakra and he ran at the final sound shinobi, stabbing him through the heart, killing him. He stood up slightly out of breath and looked up as a squad of 5 blank masked Anbu appeared. Are you serious? Oh well, let's fight. He pulls out the Kubikiribocho and they attack. He ducks out of the way from a tanto that was aimed at his head. He pumped wind chakra through the Kubikiribocho and swung it behind him in a horizontal slash. Wind style. Air slash. The attack cut 3 of the Anbu in half who weren't fast enough to get out of the way. The remaining 2 Anbu stood in front and behind him. He put his sword on his back and went through 2 hand signs. Water style. Octo Shield Jutsu. He is surrounded by a wall of water with 8 tentacles waving around the top of the water. The 2 Anbu attack and are surprised but don't show it when Naruto moves his hands and the water starts to move and attack. The Anbu tries to dodge the attacking whips of water, but one gets caught and a sphere of water surrounds his head and drowns him. The other Anbu, thinking he can attack Naruto from behind, starts to move but is stopped by a tanto going through his chest courtesy of a Naruto clone that appeared behind him. Naruto senses for anybody else and senses only Gaara, Temari and Kankuro behind him. He drops the jutsu and turns to speak, but the clone vanishes and he gets the memories. Ayame was stabbed in the stomach by a sound ninja that managed to sneak in the bunker because Sasuke abandoned his post. However, Anko managed to kill the ninja and heal Ayame. He opens his mouth to talk, but a sense of death is in the air. He looks at the purple barrier Hiruzen is in, and that's where it's coming from. Gigi. He whispers and takes off toward the barrier. He makes it into the barrier and sees Hiruzen with the death god behind him while he is holding onto Orochimaru with a sword through his chest and a monkey who he recognizes as Enma trying to pull it out but can't because it's being controlled by Orochimaru. Naruto is about to break the barrier to try and save him, but Hiruzen stops him. No, Naruto, don't. This is my duty as Hokage to sacrifice myself for the greater good of the village. I want you to answer a question for me. Do you remember who the king of the Leaf Village is? He asks. Naruto nods with tears in his eyes. Good, I want you to continue to grow as a shinobi and protect the king of the Leaf. Make sure you never lose sight of what's important to you. Enma, I want to leave the monkey contract with Naruto. I want him to give Konohamaru the contract when he becomes a genin. It will be my last and final gift to him. Enma nods at this, sad to see his longtime friend go but understands his choice. Orochimaru, I may not have much strength left, but I can take from you what you hold dear. I'm going to take away your jutsus. He said and tightened his hold on Orochimaru. He signals the death god to seal away the arms of his former student. Orochimaru screams in pain as a spectral begins to leave his body and his arms go numb and turn purple. The death god pulls its arm from Hiruzen through his back, taking his soul with him. Hiruzen puts one last smile on his face before falling to the ground dead. The death god vanished and everyone could only stare at the lifeless body of the professor of shinobi just lying on the roof with a smile on his face. Orochimaru tells his Sound 4 to drop the barrier and they do. One grabs his sword and grab him to leave. The Anbu jumped up to stop them but were cut off by a spider web shot from a six-armed Sound ninja. Naruto looked up at the retreating shinobi and locked eyes with the red head of the group. Her eyes told him she was sorry and she wanted to be saved from Orochimaru. Getting the message, Naruto nods and sees a brief sight of happiness in her eyes before they vanish. Naruto walks over to the body of his Gigi and can only look at it. He is soon joined by Junin and Anbu as they all mourn his death. They feel a surge of chakra and look towards Naruto, who unconsciously activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. Shocking all shinobi present. He picks up the body and vanishes. Nobody objected to him. Kakashi wanted to, but a look from Kurenai stopped him in his tracks. Everyone leaves to clean up with the help of the Sand Ninja. After cleaning, the Junin and Genin in the bunker are told it is safe to come out but hear the news of the Hokage falling in battle. Everyone is shocked to hear this and holds a moment of silence for him before heading out. Anko went out looking for Naruto but couldn't find him. Next day it was pouring rain and they held the funeral for the fallen Leaf Shinobi and Sand Shinobi, including the third Hokage. Everyone goes up and places a rose on the table with his picture on it. Naruto showed up but he was hanging away in the back with Jiraiya leaning on the post. They were both tied to as members of Team 7. After a while the funeral was over and the Sand Shinobi left to return to the Sand Village. The sun came out and cleared up the sky.